Okay, we are live. This is live.
MashaAllah.
We are live on the internet. Should have cleaned that table off before we got started.
Would help.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hassan Shibly in the house over here.
Hey, thank you, Adam. Great to be with all of you tonight.
And unfortunately, our mic situation kind of got a little jacked up, so we're going to have to share a mic.
Share tonight. No worries.
It wants us to share, but before we get started, since it's the seventh night of Hanukkah, we're going to light the menorah.
Go for it.
How's that?
Go for it.
Okay. I found this little menorah at the store. I don't know how long it's going to burn for, but at least we could say the blessings. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadagner shel Hanukkah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim li'avotenu be'amim hahem b'zman hazeh. Nerot halelu anachnu madlikin el anisim vel aniflayot vel tshuvot vel melchamot she'asita li'avotenu be'amim hahem b'zman hazeh. Al yedei konecha הקדושים בכל שמונת ימי חנוכה אלה לראות בהם כדי להודות ולהלל לשמך על ניסיך ועל נפלאותיך ועל ישועתך. מה אוסר ישועתי לך נאה לשבח תיקון בית תפילתי ושם תודה נזבח לית מתקין מטבח מצר המנבח אז אגמור בשיר מזמור Hanukkah Mizbeach. All right, we did it. This is the first time you've ever seen a Hanukkah menorah lighting?
First time since maybe kindergarten. We had quite an interesting experience.
You had like a DEI kindergarten?
We had a DEI kindergarten.
Yeah.
I got myself in trouble back then.
Why? You got yourself in trouble?
I got myself in trouble.
Wow. Okay,
Man,
tell us the story.
I wasn't planning for us to jump right into it, but...
Tell us the story
So
how you got canceled from your kindergarten.
I almost got canceled in kindergarten. No joke, guys. No joke. But I think it was around the time of the first Intifada, if I'm not mistaken.
You got in trouble during the Intifada.
In kindergarten. So the teacher brought a rabbi to speak to us, and as part of that, she spoke about Israel. So at that time you're seeing kids and people getting killed every single day. So I just raised my hand and I said, well, why are they killing the Palestinians? Teacher got pissed.
Oh God!
And I was just a kindergartner. Like I'm just seeing what I see in the news and asking questions about it.
Here, try to speak into.
Oh yeah. So the teacher got really upset,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, you know what? I think Mr. Shibly may have to repeat kindergarten.
You repeated kindergarten?
Almost.
I actually did repeat kindergarten.
No,
I did repeat
That's
kindergarten.
wild. So yeah, I thought I was gonna be the first kid to repeat kindergarten.
No, I had to repeat kindergarten because I started too young.
Oh wow. Okay.
So they kept me.
Oh wow.
They're like, one more again. One more again.
So literally she was almost gonna make me repeat it. And my mom was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, you know what? There's a standard exam the kids used to take. He can take it, and if he passes, we'll let him continue. And thank God I remember the principal pulling me out of school one day to class, and I took the test, and thank God I passed it and did not have to repeat kindergarten. But yeah, that was sort of my first experience at almost being canceled.
So where was this? Where'd you grow up?
This was in
Florida?
Buffalo. So I moved from Syria when I was 4 years old and went straight to Buffalo, New York, where I grew up.
Wow. Yeah. So Buffalo, New York, and then actually my best friend is one of the rabbis in Buffalo right now. He's
no way.
The rabbi of one of the big Orthodox synagogues in Buffalo.
Okay. Yeah, my dad was heavily involved, and that's where I got my interfaith experience. My father was heavily involved with the network of religious communities. And so he had always taken me when I was younger to various, interfaith centers, synagogues, temples, mosques, churches, to speak about how we can work together to promote peace and justice amongst humanity.
So those of you who don't know, if you ever want to speak to the audience, speak right to the camera. But for those of you who don't know who Hassan Shibly is, he's the former head of CARE Florida.
Yep.
And this is going to get hot. I'm very excited that we have this seventh night of Hanukkah special. But my second Muslim that I've ever gotten to interview and work with, I'm really excited about that. The first one was Daniel Hakikachu. Unfortunately, that turned sour over Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Right.
But now that I got you, second Muslim, first Muslim actually in person, and it's the first broadcast from the news studio.
Honored to be here.
What do you guys think? all these pieces of art are for sale. If you guys see anything from now on the show that you want, just DM me. Big shout out to MTLE, More Talent, Less Ego Art Studio, for the cooperative space, now being the host of the Adam King Show here at Awesome Jew on X. God, so many places to start with you. Interfaith, CARE, being labeled a terrorist organization last week.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Because you were the director, and it was Florida.
That's wild, right? So Governor DeSantis just labeled the civil rights organization that I was executive director of for 10 years as a terrorist organization. That night, I was like, man, are the police going to bust down the door? You know, it's
Do you
pretty
still
wild.
think that somebody might bust down your door, or is there like a statute limitation?
No, I mean, frankly, what he did was just, I think it's a political stunt. You know, it doesn't have any criminal implications.
Yeah,
it's basically, you know, it's outside of his authority to do, frankly. I mean, it's only the federal government that can designate. And even then, there's serious first right and due process issues. But, you know, it scares me as an American. It doesn't scare me as a Muslim. It doesn't scare me as a Syrian American immigrant. It scares me as an American citizen who's taken multiple oaths to protect the U.S. Constitution, because what DeSantis essentially did is just undermine the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Look, if anyone knows CARE Florida, it's me. I became the executive director of CARE Tampa right out of law school. I had a $45,000 a year salary my first year, and I was the executive director myself. I was the only full-time staff member at the time.
So do you think you might get pulled off the plane when you land on?
Bro, that used to happen all the time. Bro, when I was in law school,
do you think that they'll blame me if you get arrested when you get off the
bro,
plane?
they're gonna blame, if I get shot, they're gonna blame you because you got a gun right behind me right here. Look at that.
Put him in that seat on purpose.
You put him in the hot seat.
Put him in that seat on purpose.
Yeah, but no. I mean, it's been a wild journey. So, look, when I was in law school, I was working for Delta Airlines, actually, when I was in law school. And I would bring in the airplanes, I would clean them, I would access them unrestricted. But when I wanted to go and board a flight, it would take an hour or two of interrogation, questioning, and getting approval from the federal government. I remember years ago when I went to visit the White House, I actually missed my first flight because of the extra random selection security that I had to go through, even though I was cleared to meet with the President of the United States and visit the White House. So,
was that Obama?
That was under Obama. Yeah, we were invited for, I guess, some Eid dinner. They had really good.
Of course,
shows.
CARE would be invited for Obama.
I was the first member of CARE in 10 years invited to the White House, actually. But yeah, I mean, I think the designation of CARE as a terrorist organization is exactly why I became a lawyer to begin with, right? Because growing up as an American Muslim, my dad, we were talking, my dad's an oral surgeon. My mom's an orthodontist.
Yeah.
We came here because the University of Buffalo was extremely impressed with their work. I mean, my dad is an internationally recognized professor of oral surgery. He now heads up the VA's oral surgery department here in California. But essentially, we chose to make America our home. We're Americans by choice, and we're proud to be American, right? We chose America really for one reason, and that is because of the U.S. Constitution. It offers people more freedom than just about any other system out there currently.
Yeah,
present,
I'm about that.
So, and really, what scared me growing up is seeing the targeting of Muslims, especially post 9/11. You know, it's just I remember almost every time I was crossing the border, held for hours. I remember when I was just 15, 16, being placed in handcuffs just because I'm crossing the border. My grandma once, when they saw them put me in handcuffs, she fainted and she had to go to the hospital. You know, so the reality is, growing up as an American Muslim, you see your freedom being attacked because people are trying to score cheap political points and try to make a fake theater of safety. So taking it forward in terms of CARE, I think what DeSantis did is extremely unconstitutional. It undermines freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. CARE Florida, I built that organization. I would say that unapologetically. When I came into CARE Florida out of law school, the organization practically had no money, no staff. I was executive director myself.
So basically, when they're going after CARE and they say that it's a terrorist organization, how did this become such an impressive terrorist organization? They could come to you and they'd be like, you created this.
Literally. I don't know if I should be saying all this, get myself in trouble right now, but literally.
So when when CARE sent money to Hamas, and it was
That's never happened. That did not happen. Will not. It's never happened. And that's the wild thing, bro. I worked at CARE Florida for 10 years. I didn't have health insurance. Okay, I had to when I was at that time. My ex, who's now my ex-wife, she was getting ready to give birth. I had to send her back to Buffalo, New York, because I couldn't afford for her to give birth in Florida. All right. And they're saying we're sending money overseas. Bro, we weren't even getting health insurance. You know what I'm saying? When I joined CARE Florida, we had $6,000 in the bank. And I was responsible for the fundraising for CARE Florida. And I'm going to say that unapologetically.
Yeah.
And we raised it domestically from people in the U.S. who care about protecting the Constitution. And I built CARE Florida to have 5 offices, 25 staff, 8 lawyers. We did millions in free legal work to protect the U.S. Constitution for everyone. That's what CARE is about. That's what I'm about. So to see DeSantis label us as a terrorist organization is completely ridiculous. It's laughable, but it's scary as an assault on liberty.
So I'm a lover of the Constitution and everything and whatnot. And, we're involved in this huge conflagration. The world is like watching Israel handle itself and it's kind of like cluster block of Muslims instead of just Palestinians. But there was this incident here in LA where a synagogue was selling property in like Rehovot and Netanya, which is like Green Line territory in Israel. And they had like this real estate conference at a synagogue. And the Muslim press, the radical jihadi, whatever, mixed with George Soros press, got a hold of it, and they're like, they're selling Gaza properties, and about 300, more than 300 people, but roughly 300 people actually tried to break into the synagogue during the day. It was a crazy event. I did a whole show on it. There was like 100 fights in the street. This one family was driving like brand new Range Rover, and they tried to run people over. And the cops came and arrested them. And there was a little child in the in the car with them. They brought their baby. And so it was a horrible scene. They had to like carry the baby out while they're arresting the parents for trying to kill Jews. And the craziest thing was, so CARE actually, so because of my show, I have a nonprofit organization in the Jewish community that deals a lot with Jewish security issues called Magivim. Because of that, Mayor Bass did this press conference, and I stood behind her.
Right.
Because she asked me to come and stand at the press conference. And I was wearing my InfoWars hat at the time. Because I just came from work, and the craziest thing, CARE, I'm going to throw it up on the screen so everybody can see. I made the CARE wall of shame, actually. And they called me like a neo-Nazi, rabid anti-Semite.
Did they?
They got, yeah, it was like the craziest thing. But basically, they wrote this whole piece about how Adam King, who was very openly engaged in Islamophobic and racist rhetoric. And I thought it was so awesome. Honestly, to make the CARE wall of shame, I was like, if they're talking about you, you must be doing something right. Especially when they're twisting things to fit their narrative that might not be true. Especially, the media went crazy with this. And I've never sued anybody in the media, like how Candace Owens accused me of killing Charlie Kirk. People ask me all the time, sue her, sue her, sue her. And I'm just like not a litigious person. But when I was labeled a neo-Nazi, and I'm like the main Jewish voice on X, like I thought that was like.
But what I want to know is what you said that upset the people at CARE California so much to call you out like that.
I stood behind Karen Bass with the InfoWars hat. And the craziest thing, they were so out of place. And I wanted to touch on this about the Jake Lang stuff with you. Because I know we talked about this off camera before.
Right.
But essentially, like they decided to go to a Jewish synagogue and try to storm the synagogue.
Who's they?
This mad group of people in front. You can't say the Muslims,
right.
or the this or that. It is mostly paid agitators that take advantage of very mentally unhealthy people that seek to undermine the public space through violence.
Sounds like the FBI, because that's what they've been doing for the last decade, with the entrapment program,
I think
targeting people.
FBI, MK Ultra, George Soros, New World Order, there's kind of like a clusterfuck of people like disruptors, agents of chaos in the public sphere. But the Muslim, it was portrayed as like a free Palestine thing. And like they were literally storming a synagogue that was doing a town hall on like why America's unsafe. Here's some properties in Israel. And it was a total lie and a fabrication. Many people got injured. Cam Higbee got injured during that engagement.
I wish you sent me the press release earlier. I mean, I remember you briefly mentioning some incident around this, but I also don't know much about it. I think a couple of things. Look, one is I always have a lot of love and respect for the CARE and the CARE family, because I literally was with them for 2 years.
Because they paid you. You're on the payroll.
Oh, they paid me? What? No, I haven't been on the payroll for 5 years, brother. Haven't been on the payroll for 5 years. And honestly, starting at $45,000 a year, come on, leaving at just barely breaking six figures.
What year was that, 45,000?
That was 2011. It wasn't that much money back then,
Even
bro.
2011, that wasn't much
That
money.
was not much money back then. So,
that's a hard...
but I built it up from the ground up, and it was always about one thing. It was about protecting justice, protecting human rights, protecting civil rights, protecting the U.S. Constitution. Brother, I've been called a terrorist for the last 20 years. I've been, Laura Loomer sued me. They tried to cancel me. I've been harassed at the airports. I've been harassed at traveling. What I'm passionate about, however, is protecting civil rights and justice and protecting the Constitution. That's what we have to unite around, protecting the U.S. Constitution. And when you blanket label civil rights organizations that are domestically funded, that get all their money from the U.S. and spend all their money in the U.S. to protect the Constitution, what you're doing, and not you, but what they're doing by labeling CARE and designating CARE, they're undermining freedom in America.
Let me ask you a question. This is a hot trending topic on the internet in our circles. It gets a lot of press. Is America a Christian nation?
That's a great question. That is a great question. And
do you mind not covering your mouth?
Yeah. You're right. You're right. That's a great question. I mean, it's interesting. You'll speak to different people, even within the Muslim community, they'll have different answers for that. And I'll give you a great example of why. As Muslims, we can only eat meat that is slaughtered by Christians or Jews, right? So
not other Muslims?
Or Muslims, of course. So
Okay.
It got to be killed by a Muslim, Christian, or Jew. Now, for me, I will not.
Let's try to look into the
Okay,
camera.
sure. So I will not eat
You want
meat.
to turn your chair?
Yeah, maybe turn so we're looking at the audience. So for me, I will not eat meat that is. I will not eat meat that I get from the supermarket. The Publix. I don't know what you guys got out here, but because for me, it's not killed by a Muslim, Christian, or Jew. It's killed by some secular corporation that doesn't adhere to any ethics or rules. So I don't adopt the principle.
I can't believe you're missing this one. I'm giving you a
No.
layup.
Don't worry. I'm gonna get to it. So for me,
when people give the long answer, it means that they're very uncomfortable with the question.
Well, I would like to see America adhere more to Christian values. I really would. The preservation of the family, morality, ethics. But
I asked if you think America is a Christian nation.
No, it's a secular democracy.
The correct answer is no.
Right. That's why I said secular democracy.
It's a freedom of religion.
Yes,
nation.
exactly.
That's the First Amendment.
Right. 100%.
Do you know the story about how freedom of religion got into the First Amendment?
Tell me.
At the time of the Revolution, there was only Jews and Christians and pagans that were living here. There's a very famous story about Jews were very influential during the founding of America.
Yeah, I don't think much has changed.
I
don't think much has changed.
We've been very influential since day one, and we're still influential. Do you know that Jews have built 15% of every single building in America?
15%.
15%.
2.5% of the population, and you've built 15%.
Built.
Wow.
We still own a lot, but we built a lot. We really helped build this country.
Right.
I hate it when people say this is a white country or this is a Christian country or this is clearly not. Like the First Amendment of the Constitution says it's a freedom of religion country.
Right.
And so that's where I You know, like I don't theologically agree with Islam or Christianity. I'm a Jew,
Right.
but you know, I think it's really important to be non-apologetic in our positions, and
Sure.
so, you know, I'm not here to beat around the bush and, you know,
Right. Well, I respect
it should be a Christian country, and I eat like only Christian and Jewish meat.
The problem, no, the problem really is in the direction this country's going in terms of its faith, its morality. You know, you're having the complete breakdown of the nuclear family, and my message generally, because we get attacked by a lot of Christians who think we're trying to take over and destroy this country, which is just complete nonsense. However, the truth of the matter is, I'm a believer that we need more faith in this country, but from the legal system, the government, it has to be a place where there is absolute, utter, complete freedom of religion for all people.
I'll tell you why Muslims are getting it now. Because every new immigrant class to America always gets it when they first come. The Japanese, when they first came, internment camps. You know, black people when they came, slavery. Jews, literally every single generation. Every country club in America used to ban Jews until the 1980s. Actually, Mar-a-Lago was one of the very first country clubs to openly admit Jews and blacks into the, you know, President Trump. But, you know, I like to teach this to my audience, and, you know, the white Christian X space has a really hard time, you know, with this idea that America's not just another European country.
Right.
You know, and I respect European countries, and I want to touch on that with you. You know, obviously Islam is an expansion ideology. You know, Christianity, Catholicism, and Islam, they all are proselytizing.
They all believe in proselytizing. Yeah.
You know, Judaism, we don't proselytize. We heavily discourage conversion, even though it's legal.
Right.
You know, so that kind of adds like this new twist. I'm reading this book. I'm an avid reader. I'm reading this book called Muhammad and Charlemagne right now. It's one of those side books, and I pulled it out over Shabbos because I knew you were coming and I wanted to brush up on it. But it went through like the first Islamic invasion into Europe, which was up until Charlemagne. Charlemagne fought back the Muslims.
Well, he did fight back the Muslims, and when he was fighting back the Muslims, and the Islamic Empire sent ships to save the Muslims, they brought with them Jews as well, who were going to be persecuted and prosecuted by Charlemagne. So, and they asked him, "Why are you saving the Jews?" They said, "They are our citizens as well."
Big shout out to the Sephardic Jews. You had far less harsh a diaspora than us Ashkenazis. You know, us Ashkenazis, we had, that's not to say that the Sephardic diaspora was peaches and cream. Nobody wants to live as a dhimmi status. I think that that's something that, like, for instance, like I will never convert to Islam. I have no interest in it. I have no interest in Christianity or Catholicism.
Sure.
And the last thing I want is to be constantly bombarded by proselytizers. You know, I think it's extremely rude to proselytize people.
See, I would disagree with you on that. You know,
of course you would.
Of course,
you're religious. You need me to accept Muhammad.
I don't need you to. For me, if you believe in God's last messenger, it only benefits you. It doesn't benefit me, right? It's for your own salvation. And the reality is, as a Muslim, I don't believe that God did not send humanity a messenger since Moses. I believe he sent Jesus to humanity. I believe he sent Muhammad to humanity. And they all came with the same message.
The problem
let me finish. You came from God. You will return to God. Worship God alone. Do not worship any partner besides him. Honor all of his messengers and treat his creation with mercy and love and compassion. Now, whether you become Muslim, whether the audience becomes Muslim, doesn't benefit me in the least. But if people recognize God and honor all of his messengers, I think they themselves will find the peace. I mean, I'm Muslim because I love Allah. I love God. Right?
I love God too.
Right? That's what
God
it's about.
too,
It's about loyalty to God above culture, tradition, names, identity. And I think the problem is people get too caught up with identity, you know, and they think that they're better than the other because of their labels, you know, and that can happen across religions. But for us, God doesn't care as much about what you call yourself as much as he cares how you practice and live. Do you surrender to him? Do you trust him? Do you treat his creation with mercy and justice? That's the real question.
And I think that this is kind of like, this is where the double-edged sword of proselytization. I'm glad we got to this part of the conversation because I was thinking about all the places I want to take this on Shabbos.
Right.
So the First Amendment to the Constitution is so special, actually.
Right.
I truly believe the only divine inspired book is the Torah.
Mm.
And there is divinity that mankind has created in the world. Our purpose here is to merge with divinity and to bring divinity into the world. I truly believe the Constitution of the United States did this when it granted freedom of religion.
I love that
Because let me explain.
Mhm.
Freedom of religion is also the freedom of atheism,
Right.
right? So, opposed to being a proselytizing culture, what Judaism teaches, the Torah teaches, is that God wants us to choose Him, but not through force,
Right.
not through coercion,
Correct.
not by being baited, not through a reward or punishment of the afterlife. Judaism, we believe in reincarnation, and we keep going through the cycle until we figure it out.
No way.
And so when you talk about the last living messenger of God, Judaism is very different. We have living messengers of God in this generation, in every generation. We don't believe that there was we believe that certain ages end, like for instance, the age of prophecy, Nevuah, the Nevi'im, that ended thousands of years ago. To truly be a Navi, it's a different level of understanding of, it's not just foretelling the future.
Right.
It's, in essence, a system of reality bending, complete, utter dominion over the physical world. Almost the ability, like Neo in the Matrix, to recreate reality as one sees fit. God doesn't give that power over to people who are not aligned with God. It's a specific power share that God grants those who get close to Him. So in our faith, we have messengers in every single generation. And I think that's one of the differences between Christianity and Islam and Judaism, is that these faiths, they really put a stop. They say, okay, nobody after this person. It's done. In Judaism, we say there's never been a prophet like Moses, and there never will be one to his level again. Pay, I'll pay. He spoke mouth to mouth with God. But there still is, God does send his messenger. King David was sent after Moses. Rabbi Akiva was sent after Moses. The Baal Shem Tov was sent 10 generations ago, and so on and so on. You know, and we have these institutions of holy leaders that represent us. And so Judaism is more alive in that sense. We're not looking to like submit people to a dogma that was created 1,400 years ago or 2,000 years ago. There's a living oral tradition along with our culture. And so I guess the next question I have for you, and the place I want to take this, is because of the First Amendment to the Constitution, there is a divinity in the Constitution that there isn't in any other legal document because of this freedom of religion. Only in the absence of such can one truly choose God out of love.
Correct.
If you're forced,
you can't be forced. I mean, the Quran is very clear on that. La ikraha fi din.
So then why does Islam convert by the sword?
You cannot, and that is dispelled. And I challenge anyone. Listen, we don't have time to get into all of it. I'll jump as much as we can in time we have, but do your own research. Literally, don't take my word. Don't take his word. Do your own research. That is one of the biggest misconceptions about Islam, going by the sword. In fact, you know, you were speaking about dhimmis. There's actually literature out there saying that they actually, some of the empires, they were so greedy, they didn't want the local populations to convert so that they can tax them differently.
So they can tax the shit out of it.
Which is terrible.
Don't convert to Islam. We want your money.
But even that isn't correct, because you have to understand this. And people make a big, you mentioned the dhimmi war. People have a lot of questions about this. This is something I challenge anyone on. Under the Islamic civilization, Jews and Christians had exponentially more freedom and prosperity than Jews and Muslims had under Christian empire, and more than certainly Muslims and Christians have had under Jewish.
I think it goes without saying that under the two regimes, Christianity or Islam, that Islam was much more tolerant to anybody else than Christianity was.
Yeah.
In this generation, things are a little bit different.
Well, I don't
Christians in the West, and I really think it's an American thing, that American liberalism kind of brought this kind of global acceptance to Christianity. But still Christianity today is. I don't want to like side on Christianity, but I it has been it was brutal to Jews. You know, Nick Fuentes, they always LARP on me. I live in their heads rent free from that one debate when DeVincent James asked me. It got like 80 million views. This clip, it was insane. It was like it was a stupid debate. We went on and on for 15 minutes about Jewish possessions that the Vatican stole and continues to have in their catacombs. He says, if you could get rid of one religion, Catholicism or Islam, what would it be? And I answered like that: Catholicism, duh. There's no comparison, you know. And Gavin McInnes walked off stage. It was like a fake. He was like, "Fuck you." It was like it was retarded. It was such a beta move on their part. But they think it was such an own. But it you know, every Jew on earth knows, you know, that the suffrage that the Ashkenazi community had in Europe was manifold greater than what the Muslims said. It's not to say that communities didn't have hardship under Muslim rule. There was many brutal incidences under as dhimmi, where we were killed, massacred, stolen, pogromed. It wasn't anything in comparison to what the Christians did. So I would say you're right there that and I don't think that Islam is a tolerant faith. I think that Islam could be tolerant. There's places where Islam was more tolerant. I don't know why. Like, for example, Morocco. Why is Morocco? Is it because it's like on the West Coast? It's like the beach.
Bro, listen, you can't just throw a statement out and then jump subject, because we gotta get back to Islam's a tolerant faith.
We'll go to that, but I want to know, like, because I've been to Muslim countries before.
Sure.
And Morocco is like, I just want you to move your hand so the camera can see your face. You're blocking the.
Okay. Yeah.
They're not going to be able to clip it if you cover your face, you know.
All right.
But like, why is Morocco such a liberal place compared to somewhere like Iraq or Yemen?
Islam. When it comes to Islam, you have to understand the largest Muslim population is in which country?
I don't know.
Indonesia.
Oh, that I did know.
Yeah. Indonesia. About only 25% of Muslims globally.
And I also heard that is the most funding for radical Islamic jihad comes from Indonesia too.
No, I don't know anything about that.
I heard the numbers are insane, actually. I could look it up. I could be wrong about it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I mean, but the point is, Indonesia's the largest Muslim country in the world. How did it become Muslim? It became Muslim through trade. They were so impressed with the honesty of the Muslim tradesmen. There was never any battles, never any wars. They embraced Islam because they believed it was the truth. And I think you're finding Islam continuously to be the fastest growing religion in the world because it's really universal in its message that God is one. And he sent many messengers to humanity: Adam, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad. They're all brothers. None of them said, worship me. They all said, worship God alone and serve humanity. And yes, invite humanity to be free from being slaves to ego, from being slaves to wealth, from being slaves to temptations, and liberate them, help them be liberated from slavery to all these finite, temporary material things by finding freedom through servitude to God alone. And what does God want? What's best for us? He wants us to prosper. He wants us to be grateful. He wants us to serve humanity with compassion and love and mercy, and be grateful to him and prepare for our meeting with him. I mean,
do you think that's why God created us?
I think God created us. There's a beautiful tradition that God was a hidden treasure who wanted to be known. So he created us to know him, to love him. I think we were created for gratitude.
There's a teaching from the Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, that's somewhat similar actually in Judaism. God created the world. God created because he wanted to share the goodness inside of himself with another. And that was free will. The Chirat Chofshit, it's called. But it's not like free will, like I'm going to have pizza tonight for dinner. It's more like I'm going to fast, although I'm hungry.
That gets to the point.
That type of free will.
I often speak about that, which is what is the one form of worship we can do that the angels cannot do? And that may be difficult to answer because maybe different faiths have different beliefs about angels. But in the Islamic tradition, it's sacrifice. We can sacrifice for God. The angels cannot sacrifice. So if
the angels don't have any free will.
They don't have free will. They don't have temptation. They don't have desire. They don't have need. So they worship God beautifully without ever sinning. Yet the believer in God is more beloved to God than the angels.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Since the angels don't have free will, Do they really exist?
No, we definitely believe they exist.
They exist,
Yeah.
just like this table or a chair or something else in God's creation that God created for the facilitation of something.
Right.
What is that something?
Mm.
And that something is human free will. Why? It's called Bechira Chofshit in Hebrew. Because it's only through that power that mankind could have, that God can actually have a relationship with mankind. Mankind can have a relationship with God. Angels can have a relationship with God. It's programmed. The God says to the angel, "You will love me always perfectly." So the angel loves him always perfectly. There's never a fight. There's never a choice in the matter. But see, for God, we're still in this test of the Garden of Eden. And I go into this in my book. I gave Hassan a copy of my book that hit #1 on Amazon, Ad Shiloh, the blueprint for the final awakening. But God, part of the Turing test of creation is when we don't have to choose God, when we're successful and happy and healthy, or the opposite, sad, miserable, broken, lonely, to use our free will in those moments to choose God. Sometimes the hardest time to choose God is when you're extremely rich.
Right.
Sometimes, poor and misery, to reach out to God. But God wants us to choose him. So how does he do that? Through the faculty of free will. So in Judaism, the whole purpose of the Torah is free will, to teach free will. Because free will, it's so complex. It's basically anything that causes a physical temptation. Oh, the apple looks good, I want to eat it. Did your free will just get subjected because of the temptation? Like, oh, did your mouth water for the apple? Or did you actually want the apple because you needed vitamin C, you were methodical about it, and it was the healthiest option, and that's what you chose? You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like a context. God wants us to choose him, but he wants it to be real. He doesn't need any more angels.
God doesn't need us at all. And that's the fact of the matter is, if we all worship God as the best of us, it wouldn't benefit God one iota. And if we all disobeyed God as the worst of us, it wouldn't benefit him one iota. But the true struggle, the true jihad, as I may say,
They love jihad.
We love jihad. What is jihad?
They want jihad for everything so that they could say, oh, it's not really jihad, it's jihad for God.
Well, there is a real physical jihad, and I published a paper on what the rules of physical jihad are and how they excel the rules of modern just war theory. But I'm not talking about the minor jihad or the physical jihad. I'm talking about the greater jihad, the spiritual jihad, the struggle to do what is right in each and every circumstance. So for us, it's very, very clear. The theme in the Quran is this. It humbles man. Be humble. Recognize you are nothing. God is everything. You are weak, temporary, finite. And God is the greatest and the most generous and the most merciful. So it's humility. Then with humility, there is gratitude that we are humble, but God gives us so much, so we're grateful to God. When we're grateful to God, we love God. When we love God, then we're willing to sacrifice for God. When we sacrifice for God, we make the world better, and also we achieve his love as well. And that's the journey of the Quran. That is the journey of life. It is a life of sacrifice for the Creator. And by sacrificing for the Creator, you make the world better.
The Torah in the book of Bereshit, which is Genesis, it says, "Lo tov liot adam levodo." It's not good for man to dwell alone. Like in this paradigm of free will, like God can't give us the answer because then there's a question of the free will. We have to discover it. We have to choose to implement it. And there's a very thin line God walks, like he can't just openly do miracles all the time because that takes away free will. God just doesn't present himself because that takes away free will. So he says, Lo tov leot adam levodo. It's not good for man to dwell alone. And then the two create every living being, and Adam tries to be partnered with everything. It doesn't work. Sometimes it's not what the Torah says, it's what the Torah doesn't say. The Torah doesn't say that Adam turned to God and said, you're my partner. So what God does, he puts him in Tardema, which is like this kind of spiritual sleep. And he separated Zachar and Nekeva, the pollinating and the incubating force, the male and the female. And then he says, Al Ken Ya'azov ish et aviv et imo v'dabek v'ishto. I truly think this is the entire purpose of creation is contained in this line. And therefore man will leave his mother and father and be devek to his wife. This word devek comes from the word devekut, which means spiritual adoration for God. So it says man will leave his father and mother, raises a major question. Did Adam have a father or a mother?
Of course not.
So what is God saying here? Then he said, and he will be devek, spiritually devoted to God with his wife. He splits man apart to teach man the yearning for the other half, the yearning for love, because that's truly what God feels inside. And he wants to be fulfilled through our choosing him. He gets fulfillment out of us choosing him.
I think where we differentiate...
And if I could just finish this thought. And so when it says, be devek be'ishto, what God is teaching us here is to learn the type of relationship that God wanted. When God said, Lo tov liot adam levodo, it's not good for man to be alone, levado, he was saying, my whole purpose in creating you was to create you to be my partner. That's why it says, therefore man will leave his father and mother. It's not the literal father and mother. It's the mentality of seeing God as a parent, which he is the creator, and to see God as our partner, which is what the original intention was for. So I agree with you that about these fundamental things. And like I said, it's this really thin, fine line for God to prove that we actually did choose him with free will and not out of fear of hell or fear of punishment or promise of reward or, any of these things. So what's your take on that?
Well, a couple things on that. Number one is I would disagree that God is fulfilled, right? For us, God is perfect, complete, completely free of need. Our worship of him and our love and our relationship with him does not benefit him in any way. So he has the most selfless love for us. He wants to have a relationship with us. He loves to have a relationship with us. He loves goodness for us, but it doesn't benefit him in any way whatsoever. And therefore, God and only God can have the true selfless love for us. Now, for us, even our love of God, there's always going to be a selfish element of it, but it's okay. God accepts it because ultimately, by having a relationship with the divine, we ourselves are going to prosper. But a true believer is driven by pure, sincere love of God. One of the most famous Muslim scholars, she said, God, if I worship you out of fear of hell, throw me in hell. And if I worship you out of loving heaven, deny me heaven. But if I worship you because I love you, then let me be with you forever. And I think that is the height of love and
beautiful.
worship of God.
Who said that?
I'll get you her name. I think Rabia al-Basriya, one of the famous Muslim scholars of our history. However, I don't think that saying is an easily said statement for most people. And I think there's a lot of danger that we see happening when people don't truly believe in consequences or in hellfire or in repercussion for their actions. I mean, again, we're looking at what happened right now in Palestine, Israel, Gaza. Thousands and thousands of children killed, and you see videos. And again, I don't want to cherry pick examples because we can find examples. And
we're gonna get to politics
into it.
later.
Yeah, we can get into it later. But the point is, you see people suffering.
Stay tuned, everybody. We're going to talk about Greater Israel. We're going to talk about all this stuff. But right now,
we keep it
we're
on
on
the
God.
theology
We're
side.
on
I'm
God.
fine. We'll keep it on the theology side
because we're both religious people.
Well,
right?
I think,
the world benefits from a conversation.
I think that's what must drive us. What must drive
Have you
all of us.
seen a religious Jew and a religious Muslim anywhere talk before? I don't think I've seen
with
it.
my dad at the network of religious communities, in Buffalo.
Like on the podcast.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I
haven't seen it.
I don't see it.
No, and
we're required to fight each other for everyone's entertainment.
Right, that's for the pay-per-view after show.
Yeah. It's not gonna be Andrew Tate. You saw Andrew Tate. People are clowning on him because he lost, but I still
respect
think
that he went for the fight, man.
Dude, he looked beat up as shit, and then he's like, "You beat me." and I was like, hey, there's something manly to
No,
that.
you gotta listen. It's easy to critique, but you gotta respect someone who's willing to risk it all.
He got in the ring at 40 years old.
That's what I'm saying. You gotta respect.
Anyways, back to God. Kudos to Andrew Tate for stepping in the ring. I wouldn't do it. I'm not a fighter, but
Yeah.
I'd step into the intellectual ring with anybody,
Well,
and I have.
That's what we're doing right now.
But I like that we're talking about God, because for me, my podcast, my broadcast, my mission is only about God.
That's the most important thing.
I'm not here for clicks. I could care less. I think that's why God has been elevating me and using me in such a vital role for the whole thing.
Well, I think when we put God first and we truly seek him sincerely, then everything else will fall into place. Everything. The political questions, the human rights questions, the legal questions, the civil rights questions. If you truly are connected with the divine, you will see everything through the divine light. And I think the problem, again, many people have, and this is not limited to any particular group, frankly. I think a lot of people struggle. A lot of people worship their ego, their cultural identity, and their groupthink, as opposed to desiring a sincere love for God. In the Islamic tradition, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said that the first three people God will throw into hellfire is a scholar, a warrior, and a philanthropist. And the three of them are doing the greatest acts of worship. But they are the first.
I disagreed with something that you said.
Let me finish this and then we can
I don't want to get too far down this path.
No, that's fine. We can jump back, but let me finish this. The first three people God punishes and denies his mercy is a scholar, a warrior, and a philanthropist. Why? Because they did outwardly the greatest work, but they didn't do it sincerely seeking God. They did it for their own ego. And when you do things for your own ego, you will cause destruction for yourself and for society around you.
So I want to jump back to what I disagree about what you said. You said earlier that God doesn't derive benefit from anything that we do. Now, I disagree with this. I would say God doesn't need anything from us for his intrinsic nature to exist.
Correct.
Because God created himself out of nothing, which is really the greatest.
Well, no, for us, God didn't even create himself. God is pre-eternal. He's outside of time. So there was never a beginning to God. We are beings within time. God exists outside of time.
That is true.
Can't comprehend that.
So the part of God, it's called Or Ein Sof, the light without end.
Right.
It's like the same thing. But before, there's this thing called ex nihilo, or tzur tak in Hebrew. The Latin is ex nihilo. It's like something from nothing. Right. That nothing existed, and God just decided I want to exist, and therefore he existed. And
do you guys believe that?
We believe that this is the essence of free will, that God is all of existence and all of non-existence. So, but to get back to the benefit thing that I wanted to go through, because our actions here do benefit God. And that is what the power of human free will. And that's why he gave it to us. And, Adam, why didn't he destroy the world and start again when Adam ate from the tree? Because it further proves out free will, that God can transfer his free will to another. Now, there are those that abdicate their free will. In Judaism, the only difference between Jews and Gentiles is that we believe that all Jews that there's a scale of humanity, that all Jews are born into free will, Bechirat Chofshi, with these powers, and the Gentiles can acquire Bechirat Chofshi through choice, but they're born into the realm of, it's called Derech HaTeva. The opposite of free will is nature. So Jews can choose to abdicate their free will, which many Jews choose to do. They go out, they have pork, they don't keep the Sabbath, they don't follow the Torah, and then there are Gentiles that choose to do God's will and acquire the free will, and that's kind of like the balance and scope. So when God created the world, he imbued into the Jewish people the source code of free will in hopes that we would preserve it for future generations until humanity is mature enough to all wake up. That's why I titled my book The Final Awakening, Ad Shiloh, The Final Awakening, because it's really about how to wake up to God's glory, to wake up to our purpose. So God did create us for a reason to benefit himself. We're like the final test that God actually did give free will over to to something else besides himself.
Mm.
And the Torah says we were created b'tselem Elohim, which is the exact reflection of God.
Mm.
We as humans are of the species of God.
Mm.
We are the same thing. We're much lower level, but we were created and imbued with the essence of him directly. Unlike everything else, unlike angels, unlike animals, humanity itself is the only creature that is able, in all of creation, the Torah is very clear. There is much more technologically advanced creatures. There is eternal, immortal creatures. There's all sorts of different non-human speaking entities. There's an entire class in the Kabbalah of creatures called Medabrim, the speaking creatures, and humans are one of them. But we're the only one that possesses this free will. So by us choosing to implement our free will in that way, we prove out creation. And this is the bringing of the age of the Messiah for Jews. This is how we eventually overcome death itself. The whole goal of creation is something called the Techiyat HaMeitim, is the original promise in the Garden of Eden that we will live forever. When we ate from the tree of life, we died. We had to succumb to the pains of death and birth through reincarnation until we arrive at our final destination with the Mashiach. In Judaism, the Messiah is alive in every single generation. There is no moment. Unlike the souls of everybody else who receive rest in between lives, the soul of the Messiah dies and is reincarnated. His exhale is his last breath is his exhale, and then he's born again. Doesn't have the rest. David and his 36 men, they reincarnate together in this thing of perfecting humanity and perfecting free will. So that's the only thing I would disagree with, is that it's not that we can't benefit God or that he doesn't need benefit, but we can benefit him. And we benefit him through choosing him with our free will, especially when the odds are stacked against it, that we choose him. And this doesn't mean choose him like, I'm going to be a part of God today. This is like major devotion. It takes years, 15, 20 years to get to this level of, separating oneself from the physical and choosing God.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that is a point, sort of a fundamental disagreement, because for us, we believe God is so complete, so perfect.
He is complete and perfect.
He is so complete and perfect that there is no way to benefit him. You cannot benefit the creator from the Islamic tradition. And I think it's healthy to explore these. We've never had this conversation. This is the first time I'm hearing a lot about this perspective. For us, the Prophet Muhammad explained so beautifully that if all humanity worshipped God as the best of you, it would not benefit God one iota. And if they all disobeyed God as the worst of you, it would not harm him one iota. And and there's even a verse in the Quran, the reference of which that if God so willed, he could destroy you all, and it wouldn't matter to him.
So why does he choose not to?
But that being said, from his love and his mercy, he chooses to forgive us, to give us respite. I mean, there's a beautiful.
But the question is why?
So
I have the answer.
Well,
but I want to hear your answer.
Well, and I think we would disagree with potentially their answer, but I look forward to hearing it. I think ultimately, it's God, when he created creation, he wrote on his throne, "My mercy is greater than my wrath." God is the most loving. He is the most merciful. He is the most forgiving. But when we believe all that about it, we don't believe that him having mercy on us or kindness to us or love for us, again, benefits him in any way. And
no, it doesn't.
Okay, because it sounds a little different than what you're saying, that it does benefit. Or
no, I'm saying we have the ability to bring added benefit to God's world. We have an expression in Judaism, Ein chadash tachad hashemesh. There's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
And this idea of God being benevolent and merciful, he made the cure before he made the disease. The disease is only to makarev, to bring the person close.
Right. There's benefit through tribulations, because through the tribulations you realize you need God.
He doesn't enjoy it even. It's very difficult for him. We learn this in the Torah when the Yam Suf, I think it's the Sea of Reeds, closed on Pharaoh God was very mournful over this. Even though Pharaoh chose to despise God and pretend that God didn't exist over and over and over again, God still loved his creation so wholeheartedly that even our rejection of him, he still loves us. He still wants us. He still desires us. For instance, somebody who does one of the worst sins, murder, or the worst sins you could why doesn't God just kill them right there? Even the worst sinners, he still wants to leave a door open for, in Hebrew, what we call tshuva, which is repentance.
Sure, the door to repentance.
Now, this is a much more long strategy for God, because God doesn't die, and God is constantly watching over us as we live our existences all throughout, life after life. But it's that last act of repentance that sets the trajectory forward for anything in the future, including future lives and past lives and all things that God does give us this opportunity. So it's not that God doesn't need benefit from us in any sort of way. It's that we can't, and in Judaism, it's much more specific. There's 613 laws of the Torah, and those mitzvot, they're called mitzvot. But really what they are, they're the laws of free will. They're the forces of nature that pull us to, there's so many different things. I'll give you an example that I like to give because it puts it into context. One of the 613 laws is called Shaluach Hakan. When you see a mother bird and you want to take the egg, first you have to shoo away the mother bird, and then you could collect the egg. So God implements this in a specific way because he wants us to overcome our natural impulses and exist in free will, that higher thinking. So under this context, the Shaluach HaKan, imagine a man walking through the desert, starving for days, thinking he's going to die, stumbles into an oasis, and at the oasis there's a tree, and that tree has a bird in it sitting on some eggs. Right? So the Torah makes a clear law, Shaluach HaKan, you have to send the mother bird away. In that moment, the person is starving. They've given themselves all permission to do anything to survive. Are they strong enough spiritually to overcome even in that moment and choose to follow the Torah, shoo the mother bird away, and then eat?
Right.
Or is their body so much in control? And that's the highest level of doing it. The highest level. When you're starving, are you stronger than your starvation? Are you stronger than your pain?
Right.
Are you able, like the mind over matter kind of thing? That's kind of like what the free will of the Torah is about. And it's not that God needs it, but he wants it. Well, and therefore, it does give him benefit because he wants us to engage in that free will and prove out that we are free creatures, that we're not robots.
It's a very interesting point that you're bringing. And I think where the different, because I agree with you in terms of the will you sacrifice your bodily desires? Will you put God first? Will you obey when it's tempting? I do agree with you that God wants certain things and he loves certain things. The way where you and I would disagree is I would disagree that it benefits him. Just because God can want or love something, he can want for us to do good. I would still say it doesn't benefit him, because in the end of the day, nothing can add to God or take away from God. All of this is within the realm of the finite. God is infinite, I think the best way sort of to explain the Islamic position on this is really explaining one story from the Quran and one story or one example from one of the great Muslim scholars. And the story of the Quran is that God announced to the angels, I am appointing a Khalifa, a representative on earth. And the angels responded, will you create on the earth those who will cause corruption and shed blood while we worship you so beautifully and never disobey you? And the angels were sort of on the money. I mean, you look around the world, what's happening, so much bloodshed, so much injustice because of the free will. God responded, I know what you know not. The first lesson from this is we've been chosen as God's ambassadors on earth. What is the role of God's ambassadors? It's to do the work God loves to be done in each and every circumstance. When people are oppressed, God's ambassador stands up for them. When the children are hungry, God's ambassador feeds them. When the people are thirsty, God's ambassador strives to give them water. When the people are lost and misguided, God's ambassador strives to be a means of guidance. For the sake of God, on behalf of God, we're chosen as God's ambassadors. But when God responded, I know what you know not. What is the secret within? What is the answer? If God created us to have a relationship with him, to worship him, the angels already do so. And you were sort of getting to that point when you mentioned the discussion of free will. Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, one of the great Muslim scholars, gives a beautiful example about this. He said that when our father Adam, peace be upon him, descended from the heavens to the earth, when he left the world of peace and tranquility where there is no hunger, no fatigue, no sadness, and came to this world of suffering and loss, our enemy, Satan, rejoiced. Why did he rejoice? Because he thought this was the downfall of Adam, that Adam is leaving a place of peace and tranquility to a world of suffering and loss. So he celebrated. He thought this was the downfall of Adam. Imam al-Qayyim writes, no, what Satan didn't recognize is only when the diver descends from the top of the ocean to the bottom can he collect rare and valuable pearls and bring it back up to the surface.
You know, this is very similar in Judaism.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
In Judaism, when Adam sinned, Adam was this, before Adam ate from the tree of knowledge, the physical and spiritual worlds were one thing. There was no division between them. There was no death.
Right.
When Adam ate from the tree, they divorced, and the physical went down and the spiritual went up. And kind of like on the same logic is the purpose of these mitzvot are like these fallen sparks. They're called nutzotzot de kedusha, the fallen sparks of holiness, which are the acts of free will that have fallen into the physical. And that humans, Adam, has to go into creation and take those fallen sparks, and then through our choice of performing the mitzvot, like Shaluach HaKhan, chasing the mother bird away, they take that fallen spark, which is the hunger, which is the, you know, the starvation of the man who gets to the egg and he chases the mother bird away. It takes that spark and puts it where it was before Adam ate from the tree of knowledge. Kind of like what you said about going down and pulling those pearls. We just think those pearls are the mitzvot.
Yeah, exactly. So I want
the commandments.
Exactly. For us, there's two lessons in there. One is that we're in this earth like a diver. The diver holds his breath. He can't hold his breath too long. After a few minutes at most, he has to rise back up. He doesn't build his home under the ocean. In the same way, we're all like divers. We're here holding our breath. We all have a certain amount of breaths. Once it runs out, we got to return. This isn't our real home. Said. Our real life is the life to come. That's why the people who live a purely materialistic life, having never lived life sacrificing for God, appreciating God, when they return to him and they realize that's the real life, they will say, Ya laytani qaddamtu li hayati. I wish I prepared for my real life. For those who hoarded their wealth and didn't spend it to help the poor and those that are needy and those that are suffering, they will say, Rabbi rji'un, my Lord, send me back. لعلي أعمل صالحا, that I can do good with what I left behind. So we're here for a very short time. The Prophet gave the example that this world compared to the hereafter is like one of us goes to the ocean and dips our finger in the water. The drop of water on the tip of our finger represents this life. The ocean represents the eternity. Very quickly now, what are those pearls for us? The pearls are the acts of worship that God loves so much that when we do these acts of worship, we become beloved to God. What are those acts of worship? They're acts of worship that even the angels cannot do. That when we do these acts of worship, we become more beloved to God than even the angels. They're the acts of worship of sacrifice. Only we human beings can sacrifice. And sacrifice requires us to be in a world of loss, of hunger, of temptation, of desire, of anger, right? And when we're in this world and we resist our anger, when we want to oppress someone and we don't oppress them, when we are tempted to fall into sin and we resist falling into sin, when we love wealth, but instead of hoarding it, we distribute and help the poor.
Charity.
Exactly. Then we are doing those acts of worship where even God boasts to the angels and he tells the angels, your worship compared to the worship of these humans is worthless.
Worthless.
Exactly.
Totally.
So
because without free will, what is it?
Exactly.
Do they? That's why I said, do they even exist?
Right. So
of course they exist.
Right.
But do they exist independently? No, they were created with a function. And that function is not to do these You're calling them the sacrifices. We're calling them the mitzvot. We're pretty much saying a lot of the
Yeah, there's
similar things here.
very similar. Well, because from an Islamic perspective, again, we believe God had sent many teachers to humanity. So obviously, as Muslims, we believe in Abraham.
Yeah.
We believe in Moses. We believe in Jacob. We believe in David.
Yeah.
If I were to disrespect Moses, I believe I will be deprived of paradise. Because I'm dishonoring a great messenger. We call him Kalimullah, the one who spoke to Allah, the one who spoke to God. So we believe they all came with the same message. Sacrifice for God to make the world better and be grateful to God whom you will return to. Very simple message.
So I have to bring up, I almost don't want to pivot off the God talk because I'm enjoying this tremendously.
Yeah, it's my favorite subject, brother. It's my favorite.
It's my favorite subject too. I really hope you enjoy my book, and then after you finish reading it, please come back on the show and talk about my book with me. I'd love to get your take on air about my book and some of the concepts. Yeah. I'd say chapter 4, chapter 9, and chapter 14. Those are the three ones that I think are just such revelations for our generation. You know, and it makes me feel alive, like I am a messenger, you know, that I am, because that's what I want. I want the ultimate experience with God. You know, I want to, my short time here, I want to have the ultimate experience. You mentioned our lives are so short, they're like sticking the toe in life.
Right.
I have the answer. And I'll pose it as a question. Do you know why God made our life so short? Originally, it was supposed to be 1,000 years, and then we ate from the tree, and then he shortened it to 120, and now who lives to 120? But do you know why he shortened our lives? It's a beautiful thing. It's for our own benefit.
Tell me.
When we have 1,000 years, or even worse, if we were immortal, I call it these acts of free will are the mitzvot. Every time that we choose to do one of the commandments of God, it's an about face on nature. It proves out God's existence. It proves that he has free will, that he bestowed it onto another. By doing so, like if he condensed our life and made it short, we have this thing where, I have to live for now because life is short. And if you take that already short existence and then you choose to love God and to serve God and to do the mitzvot and to do his commandments and keep his will and develop and work and fast and do the spiritual stuff, it's amplified.
Yeah.
Because it's in such a short, condensed amount of time. And you don't have that much time. So even with less time, what do? Do you do the parties? Do you have the girls? Do you have the life, the luxury, the wealth, the opulence? You have a short time. What do you do with your time? Or do you direct your heart outward to serve God, to talk to God?
You know, before we jump subjects, you remind me of a quote, which is, we have a quote in our tradition that live for this life as if you will live forever, and live for the next life as if you will die tomorrow. Now, some people take it, okay, I'm going to live for this life like I'm going to live forever, so I'm going to hoard.
So you guys also believe in reincarnation?
No, we don't believe in reincarnation. The quote is, live for this life as if you will live forever, and live for the next life. The next life means the eternal life, the life after death. Live for the next life as if you will live for die tomorrow. And the real meaning of that is, live for this world as if you have forever. Don't worry about it.
So do you guys believe in like a heaven or a hell?
We believe in a heaven. So what we believe.
Do you believe in eternal heaven or hell?
Yes. I know. I think that's one of the main differences as well. But we believe that. So basically, that we will die when we die. We are in Alam al-Barzakh. It's basically like the world of the veil. It's a transitionary world between here and the real hereafter, where the souls rest. And those that lived righteous lives will enjoy the fruit of that righteousness. Those who lived evil lives will pay the consequences for that. But their body and soul are separated. Then there will be the day of judgment, the resurrection, where the body and soul are brought back.
So you believe the same thing, the resurrection?
We believe in the resurrection, yes. That we will all be resurrected all at one time, all humanity. and then everyone will stand for the judgment, and then there's eternal paradise or eternal consequences, torment for those that have lived lives not worthy of God's mercy. And really, you have to be a terrible person to be deprived of God's mercy, because God's mercy is incredibly vast.
You know, in Judaism, only 3 souls were deleted.
Really?
The level of mercy and sparing that God has given, only 3 people God cut off. One of them, the worst one, was like Yoravam ben Nevat. He was the one who took the kingdom away from Roavam ben Shlomo, King Solomon's son.
When you say deleted, like, are they just like wiped out of existence, or is there a hellfire?
So it works like this. There's a place called Gehinnom.
Jahannam, we call it in Arabic.
More similarities. Why are we fighting each other? We'll get to that in the next part.
I got some answers.
We're going to get to that.
Stop bombing the people of Gaza. That's why I got to stop bombing the people of Gaza. We'll get into that.
Where was I going with this?
We're talking about Jahannam and deletion.
So
and
Gehenna.
hellfire.
So we learned through the book of reincarnations. It's called Shara Gilgulim, the gateway of reincarnation, written by Rabbi Yitzhak Luria in the 14th century. It's an unbelievable book on Kabbalah. He's the father of modern Kabbalah. Modern Kabbalah is like the Lurianic Kabbalah. Started in the 1400s. That's how old Judaism is. 1400s was the modern age. You know what I'm saying? We're like a really ancient people. So we learn about Gehenna that the only way to gain... Gehenna is a special form of mercy. That God, being this infinite form of mercy, even the ones who go to Gehenna, Gehenna's it's hell. It sucks. You don't want to go there.
Right.
But the purpose is rehabilitation. It's not... We don't believe in damnation. We believe in rehabilitation. And so a soul that goes to Gehenna stops reincarnating. It's one of the ways to stop reincarnating. The only way to get into Gehenna is to become so devoid of Torah that you have not even 1 ounce of Torah inside of you, not even one pasuk, one verse. You have to be completely devoid of God's word. And some people are so tired of the reincarnation process that they willfully fight God's word. Have you ever come across somebody and you tried to talk about God to them? They're like, don't talk to me. I don't want to hear about it. It's because they subconsciously know the way to escape this reality. So they go to the Gehenna for a specific amount of time. In God's mercy, he made the longest sentence available 11 months. Not even a full year, because it wouldn't be fair to the soul. So the souls go to Gehenna, and then they go after. If anyone goes to Gehenna, after their sentence, they go to heaven, which is Gan Eden Elyon, and they await the Techiyat HaMetim, the resurrection, in that form, and then they come back. And what the resurrection is an embodiment of physical and spiritual, again, the way that it was in the Garden of Eden. Like, our bodies are going to change in that time. When we get to there, however the soul needs to express itself, the body will follow. Because the body fell and became physical and dull and slow, and the soul can change. Like, you could call yourself a different name. You could go become John Smith and totally have a different existence, but in the same body. Give up Islam, go be John Smith and go become a Catholic, or you know how people when they convert to a religion, they take a name in that faith. You know, that name is their soul, a different part of the soul changing in their body when the body stays the same. In the resurrection, it's not going to be like that. Just as the soul can change quickly like that, the body will also be able to change. So a good example is if your soul needs like wings to express itself, the body will manifest wings instantly. And that's kind of like the resurrection. It's from anything. The physical material will sprout itself, and bodies will come back to life animated with the Spirit of God inside of them on a much more magnanimous level. But as far as eternal hell or eternal heaven is concerned, eternal heaven is for everyone. Everyone is eventually going to go through to eternal heaven, even if they have to go to hell to get there.
Interesting. You know, from our tradition, we believe in this life, our body is at the forefront and our soul is hidden. after death, before the resurrection, but after death, the soul is at the forefront and the body's hidden. The body's decayed, it's gone, And then at the resurrection, it is sort of like the body almost like just grows again. And then it's the body and the soul are
together,
sort of equilibrium.
So we're waiting for the same.
So
we're waiting for the same thing to happen for our faiths to be completed.
In a sense, I think, and
your faith revolves around the resurrection. Is the resurrection the end all be all of Islam?
No, I mean for us,
does everything change after?
No,
is that like
for us
apex?
For us, the Prophet Muhammad said, "Whoever has died, their day of judgment has begun." So for us, at that moment when you're breathing your last, a person who lived the life they should live will see the angels of mercy ready to welcome them, and from that moment, it is a joy that knows no sadness. The Quran says that for those who say our Lord is God alone and they remain upright, the angels descend upon them, and this is in reference to death, that you have nothing to fear about what is next, nor anything to be sad about what you are leaving behind, and have glad tidings of the heaven that you were promised. We were your friends in this life and in the next, and therein you will have whatever your souls desire for all eternity, a gift from the most merciful. And of course, the greatest part of heaven is to witness the Creator. When you see the Creator unveiled with no filter, something that our physical body could not sustain in this world. I mean, in our tradition, the Quran mentions that Moses asked God, "Arini anzur ilayk." He used to speak to God, but he didn't see God. So he said, "Let me see you." And God told him,
"You could see my back end."
Well, in our tradition, it says, "You won't see me, but look at the mountain. If the mountain maintains itself, then you will see me." And then God unveiled himself to the mountain. The mountain just burst, like just became dust. And Moses fainted. And then when he woke up, he said, "Glory be to you." He realized the physical body cannot sustain.
In Judaism, at the Mount Sinai, when we receive the Torah, the Midrash, the accompanying texts of the Bible, they're very important. They're preserved perfectly. The Midrash says that God spoke his 13 utterances. The only time God ever spoke into creation, because he can't speak into, he could do anything he wants. If God came down, if an angel came down right now in front of you and me, I don't know if it would work on me because I kind of live in a metaphysical existence, and my ultimate preparation is to be able to witness an angel and be unmoved. But take an average person. If an angel the size of a 40-story building comes down and says, "Hey, you over there, I need to tell you something from God." That person would literally go into an insane asylum the rest of their life. The purpose of creation, which is their free will not be nurtured. It will be destroyed. And therefore, people who say they talk to angels are crazy. Because that's not how God created the world to work.
Well, not only that, for us, you don't know, is it an angel or is it a demon? I mean,
it could
for us,
be a demon too.
Let's be clear.
Demons.
And I know we have disagreements on Jesus, but as we were talking about earlier, as a Muslim, I believe Jesus was born of the Virgin Mary. I believe he's a messenger of God, just like Adam didn't have a mother or a father. We believe Jesus didn't have a father, but he had a mother. But we don't believe he was God. We don't believe he was to be worshipped. For us, we believe that it's most likely Paul. Paul was an enemy of Jesus in his life. And then afterwards, he claimed to see Jesus, and he completely switched up the message of Jesus. So, and this may offend some of our Christian friends, but for us, we believe, well, maybe Paul saw a demon.
Christians should be okay getting offended a little bit.
They're
kind of weak.
You got to look at my Instagram post.
White Christian fragility is real.
We got.
Let's be honest.
As we're having a real conversation, I think we got to be strong enough to have it. But
don't you find the white movement? They're the most sensitive. They say the worst shit to people, and then if you say anything to I'm not here I support white men, blah, blah, blah. It's weird I have to say that it's a DEI thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's let's be real. I mean,
what
I
deal with is I see oh, you Muslims are all violent. We're going to kill all of you. Oh, so we're the violent ones, but you're going to kill us, so who's the violent one?
That's the same Holocaust logic. It's like the Holocaust didn't happen, but we sure as hell would like to get rid of all you Jews.
Yeah, it's I mean, again, there's a lot, it's wild. It's wild. But I think we got to be able to have serious conversations with each other without, fearing offending others. I mean, and I think I like, one of the things I appreciate about you, by the way, is you're always sort of very honest and direct about what you think, what you believe.
I can't wait till we can start talking about Greater Israel.
I need some coffee. But yeah, so to finish this point real quick, though, for us, it's like, well, maybe Paul, who now comes with a message that's very different than the message we believe Jesus taught. Because the whole idea of worshiping Jesus came from Paul. We don't believe Jesus has to worship him. Maybe he saw a demon.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Because I totally believe that the Jesus that's presented to the world is not the true Jesus.
The Jesus that was called people to worship him, Jesus never asked humanity to worship him. He always prayed to God.
Like for example,
or even the Trinity. Like,
today's Hanukkah. It's Hanukkah, right? So we don't have the book of the Maccabees anymore. We used to until the Romans conquered us and took it, and it became a part of their apocrypha texts. The accompanying books that the Vatican has that didn't fit into their lexicon. Some of them are purely Jewish, like the book of Baruch, Baruch ben Nahariah. This guy, there's 4 books of him in the apocryphal. There's 48 major prophets. He's one of the major prophets. He doesn't have his own book in the Tanakh. Why is this? Because his books were stolen. So at Nicaea, when the Vatican decided these are the books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are the only 4 books. But meanwhile, Jesus had Last Supper, many disciples. That's so not Jewish that there would be such little written record. For instance, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, 2 of them are not even Jewish.
Right.
Where's the rest of everything? They say, it's the most well-recorded thing in history, and it really isn't. They didn't, the disciples, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they weren't intimately close with Jesus.
Well, people don't know who the authors of the New Testament are. So for us, because the Quran speaks of Jesus having a gospel. It speaks of the Injil, we believe was the holy book Jesus taught. But that is not the Bible, right? Because as you know, the Bible, especially the New Testament, is these books written by other people that the Nicene Council chose. And they weren't even accurately preserved.
So Islam also agrees that the doctrine of Christianity is not the full depiction of who Jesus was or what Jesus was about.
Correct. I mean, for us, we believe Jesus was a messenger. He was from the children of Israel, and he was sent to the children of Israel.
So you think he was a Jew?
Well, here's
oh
the
my God!
Answer. Wait.
My IQ is 87.
No, listen. The truth of the matter is we believe, and this upset a lot of people, that's why I got to explain it, but we believe Abraham, Moses, Jesus were all Muslim. They all surrendered to God. He was from the children of Israel. He was sent to the children of Israel, but we believe he was Muslim because Muslim means one who surrenders himself to God. I know that upset a lot of people, but it's the truth. Muslim literally means one who submits to God. See, the interesting thing about Islam is we don't believe that Abraham, Moses, or Jesus came and said, you must become Jewish or you must become Christian.
Well, Judaism is not proselytizing anyone.
Correct. But it was never called that, Judaism or Christianity is the name of the religion that God has chosen for you to follow. What we believe, they were all commanded to surrender to God.
So do you think that Jesus was ethnically Jewish?
From the children of Israel? I believe so.
You believe so?
I believe so.
But you don't know so.
No.
Are you seriously,
Chat? No, listen.
Dan Bilzerian. He's pulling a Dan Bilzerian now.
Don't talk about my
Chat
boy.
GPT.
Don't talk about
Was
my boy.
Jesus Jewish?
No. I got to double check the lineage because I don't listen. When it comes about talking about religion and God, if there's something I'm not 100% certain about, I'm not going to say what I believe is.
But they say that Jesus was descendant of King David.
Yeah, so he'd be from the children of Israel then.
Okay, you could say Jesus was a Jew. Why
Again,
is it so
I
taboo?
think no. I think
Why is it so
I think
taboo
the
for
issue,
Muslims
because
or Christians?
well, I need to again.
to even get to this part where they could just be honest about like
Well,
the
no, no,
Jewish
no, no, no.
contribution to humanity.
Again, what I want to do is I was literally trying to look up the lineage to see would he be considered from the children of Israel or from the natives over there. But again, that's a separate
You
thing.
might want to just for the camera not
Oh,
cover your
sorry.
face.
Yeah. Thanks for the reminder. But I like to sit and speak with comfort. But the point is, when it comes to religion, we believe they all have the same religion. The religion that God sent to humanity was peace through surrender to God. And to surrender to God is someone who surrenders to God is a Muslim. So I believe Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, they all taught Islam. What does Islam mean? Peace through surrender to God. In the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, again and again, surrender to God, submit to God, have peace through surrender to God. So we believe that was the universal divine
So what is I get what you're saying, that you're simplifying the 5 books of Moses into this idea of just surrender to God. But what do you think, like the substance of Moses's revelation, the first 5 books of the Bible, does that hold does that hold value?
I think where you and I may disagree is about the preservation of the Torah, right? And how
No, I'm talking about
accurately
just for example, like the Jewish. First of all, the Torah has been preserved perfectly through the generation. There's never been the same exact Torah we use today is the same Torah that we were given at Mount Sinai. Not a letter, a word, or even a space is different. And the Sephardic Torah and the Ashkenazi Torah are exactly the same, even separated by thousands of years of diaspora. That nothing changed, not even a space. There's some spaces in the Torah that are a certain length. There's some letters like a Dalet, which is the 4th letter, where the end is extended. In the Sephardic and in the Ashkenazi Torah, separated by 2,000 years, they are all the same.
I'm remembering like Jeremiah 8:8. How can you say we are wise and the law of the Lord is with us when the ink of the scribes has made it into a lie? I believe, and again, I didn't come to really debate because I respect it. And I know the respect you have for the Torah, but ultimately, I think there is significant historical question as to whether the Torah of today is the same as the Torah that Moses
The good thing
taught.
about being not Jewish is the Torah wasn't given for you.
Right. Well, we agree on that, right? We agree that
these are our laws,
including Jesus,
that Moses said you have to do this, and we don't have to make. We're not here for the non-Jews to do this. We're just doing our thing,
right?
Because Moses said, "Do this. Don't ever abandon it. This is the one thing for you Jews." And this is it. So, like, I know that in Christianity, especially in modern evangelical Christianity, they know that the Jews have to do what is written in the 5 books of Moses, and they're very encouraging. For instance, like Charlie Kirk's philosophy on Christianity was Christianity is not for the Jews. The Torah is for the Jews, and Christianity is their thing, but the Jews have a special thing. Does Islam feel that way, that we have this kind of like, I know you guys call us the people of the book,
right?
But like, is there kind of like this like understanding, like, let's let the Jews just do their Jew thing?
So when it comes to the laws and the rules, what we believe is that specifically the Jews were given a lot of laws. I mean, a great amount of laws.
613.
And some of that was in consequence to rebellion by certain members of the Jewish community at certain times. And
what do you mean by that?
I mean, certain times when covenants was broken, relationship, they were told, for example, the stories mentioned in the Quran, do not fish on the Sabbath. So what they did, I don't know if you have something similar in your tradition. So what they would do is they would sort of set the nets on Friday, pick them up on Sunday as a way to sort of circumvent the law. And because of that, it was, God was not happy with that situation. It was like playing games with the law.
I don't see
like that in your tradition?
I never saw anything about fish, but we are allowed to, like, for instance, leave a light on before the Sabbath. We can benefit from something that was started before this. For instance, if I start a fire in my fireplace before the Sabbath, I cannot add to it or subtract to it on the Sabbath. I cannot move a log. I cannot move something. But as long as it's lit before the Sabbath, I can sit in front of it.
So
on
we
the Sabbath.
believe, going back to the question, we believe Jesus was, his mother Mary, from the descendant of the children of Israel. He's from the children of Israel. Israel himself, who's the prophet that Israel is another name for? Is it Jacob in your tradition?
Yeah.
Right. A great messenger of God, a prophet of God in the Islamic tradition. We believe it was ethnically a tribe, the children of Israel. So it's a family, it's a heritage, it's a lineage. It isn't a religion. For us, it's a culture, it's an ethnicity.
We believe
in
the
the
same
Islamic
thing.
tradition. Okay, so
It's more the religion of Judaism is really like the customs of our people.
okay, yeah. So for us, it's ethnically there.
We are much more ethnically focused
right.
than
Correct.
we don't proselytize.
Well, that's why
like
we
a
call it
religion.
Bani Israel, the children of Israel. They're literally descendants of Yaqub alayhi salam, and from the Abrahamic line. So, and from there we had Ishmael, right, and Isaac. And so the Arabs came from Ishmael. The Jews came from Isaac, but Muslims didn't necessarily come from from Ishmael, because again, only a quarter of Muslims worldwide are Arab. But for us, we believe all these prophets.
Are you Sunni or Shia?
Sunni.
You're Sunni.
Yeah. For us, all the prophets were sent to a specific people. So Jesus was sent for the lost sheep of the children of Israel. He wasn't. We don't believe he was sent for all humanity. We don't believe even Moses was sent for all humanity. We believe he was sent for the descendants of Israel. Now, we believe there may be over 100,000 different prophets that were sent to different tribes and different societies and different communities. For us, each people were given their own prophet to guide them towards monotheism, towards Islam, towards surrendering to God. The difference is we believe Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was sent for all humanity universally. That's, I think, one of the major areas of difference. But I think I agree with the point that you're saying is, hey, these laws were sent for us. We're obligated to follow it. We agree with you on that, that those prophets, those messengers were sent to that particular tribe, to that particular family descendants with laws and regulations, and that the laws and the regulations actually became very difficult at a certain point, and that Jesus was sent to actually relieve some of the laws, not all of them, but some of them. So from an Islamic theological...
there's a law in the Torah that says if a prophet comes and tells you to subtract one law from this Torah, do not follow that prophet.
Correct. So one of the issues is, in terms of the laws, we believe the religion God gave humanity is all the same, peace through surrender to God. And when it comes to religion, there's often two key areas. There's the theology, the belief, and then there's the law. We believe the theology and the belief of each prophet and messenger of God was the same, but the laws were different. So the theology for salvation that we believe was taught by Abraham, Moses, Joseph, all the prophets named, there's about 25 mentioned in the Quran. It was all the same theology, but the laws were different. So the theology is believe in God and God alone, believe that he sends messengers, believe that he has angels, believe in the whole in the day of judgment, and believe in God's greatness and his power. It was a universal theology. That is the theology of Islam. When it comes to the rules were different based on different prophets, different people, different times, different needs. So the laws are different, but the theology is one and the same.
Well, it seems like a lot of our theology is actually very aligned in very esoteric ways. For instance, like the resurrection and these type of things.
I think one of the differences...
Where's that common thread come from, if not from this collective revelation to humanity?
Right.
God doesn't want, in Judaism, Allah is actually one of the 72 names of God.
Really?
It's one of the names of God.
It's one of the names of God, too. We have 99 in the Islamic tradition.
We have so many names of God. There's 7 main names of God.
Okay.
The Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey is the top name.
Right.
And then, but then there's like, as this chart, there's 72 names. They're all 3-letter names. And Allah is one of the 72. But there's many, many, many more names of God than just that. And this is where I see, like, in the past, in antiquity, there was a tremendous overlap. There was a cultural share we've been neighbors for so long.
Mm.
Jews and Syrians, Jews and Arabs, Jews and Egyptians, that it wasn't a sterile environment sharing borders. So the cultures, there has been a lot of sharing, and plus the Bible, is the iconical book of all of earth. Without the Torah, there would be no Quran. There would be no.
Well, I mean, we'd absolutely disagree on that. By the way, one of the
There would be no
go
New Testament. Each of these books claims their authority through the Torah. They say we are the religion. Like, for instance, you say you're the religion of Abraham, and the Christians say they're the religion. And, everybody's trying to claim their legitimacy of their religion as being like the title, the heir holder of this faith, of this kind of.
Well, it's talking about a
Abraham,
universal.
Isaac, and Jacob.
It's talking about a universal faith, because if God is one, then he would send one theology. Theology has to be consistent. He would send one theology. He's not going to send to one messenger that I am one, and then he's going to send to another messenger I am 3, and another messenger I am 1,000. No, that would be radically different theology. Right. It would make sense that God would set different rules. Okay, he wants people to keep...
You guys are allowed to eat bugs. You guys are not allowed to eat bugs.
Well, I mean, again, there may be different rules for different reasons. I don't think glad that Muslims are not allowed to eat bugs, but that's a separate conversation. Anyway, the point is, the rules can be different.
I'm glad that you guys eat kosher food.
Well,
I'm not proselytizing, but the one thing that I feel that we are totally the superior faith in is kosher slaughter. Kosher slaughter, and I've studied a lot on halal. Halal is second, the second best slaughter. Because, first of all, in kosher slaughter, there's a surgical incision into the trachea. The animal's not supposed to feel the pain of its death. And then the lungs are inspected afterward to see if the animal is gasping for air after it died. If it has 2, they're called mumim, blemishes on the lungs. If there's 2 or less, it's called glat kosher. If there's 0, it's called halak bet Yosef. It's the highest level of kashrut for meat. Now, the Muslims, they do the same type of slaughter, a knife to the throat.
Right.
Correct? Now, there's something this is kind of like where we see the Jewish influence in these type of teachings, because Jewish slaughter, kashrut, is on such a high level that all Muslims feel that it's okay to eat it.
Right. Well, the Quran is clear that we
But for
eat.
kosher, it's not okay to eat halal. It's not okay to eat anything out of halal because of the level of care that the Jews give to our meat. There's something...
Well, not only that, you can't even mix the cheese and the meat.
We don't need the cheese.
You have much more strict
these
rules.
laws that God gave us to preserve are very important. The entire foundation of halal is based on them. So much so that you can eat our food, but we can't eat yours. It's not that I wouldn't want to. I lived in the old city of Jerusalem. I've smelled all the wonderful smells. My body was like, eat it. And my soul had to overcome it. I had to say no, but that's the power and the wisdom of the Torah. And it got preserved in Islam. And I think halal and kashrut is a very good example of it. That kashrut is like halal on steroids.
Yeah, it is. It's much more stringent.
And that's why there's other things about what I'd like to call free will, to touch on our earlier conversation, that Judaism did preserve for humanity, that we're waiting for the open door to teach the world. We can't just teach an unwilling world who isn't willing to listen. They will hate God's word if it's told to them by somebody that they hate. Like in Judaism, you have to be very careful giving advice to people. Because if you give advice to somebody who's not ready to hear it, you could send them in the opposite direction, and then you're liable because you gave them the bad advice. You sent them on the path. You knew they weren't ready to handle it, and there's a law in the Torah, one of the 613 laws. You're not allowed to put a stumbling block before the blind. You have to deal with people at the level that they're at. So I would like to live in a world where my cultural contribution can be learned from by the rest of the world. I don't think that there's any culture in the world that's done more of that than Islam. And point in part being halal and kashrut is a clear very, I love Arthurian legends. Love Arthurian. I'm so well read. Honestly, like really, my reading comprehension is insane. What I've crammed into this life. And one of the things I love about Sir Gawain during that time is and Lancelot is they go through this period where they learn about like proper slaughter. They were just like cutting off animals' heads, and then they learned a proper slaughtering technique. And it's preserved in the Arthurian legends. Like one of these like minor things no one ever talks about.
Right.
But in it, they're like, oh, this is a new way to slaughter. And it like took over. It says in the Arthurian legends that this new slaughtering mechanism took over slaughter in Europe. Where did it come from? Where did this idea come from to cut on the throat? And why can't you slaughter a pig? Why don't you guys eat pig?
Well, the pig itself is unclean.
Because it's unclean.
Yeah,
why is it unclean?
Even technically Christians shouldn't eat pig.
Nobody should eat pig.
Yeah, literally.
This is the one thing that I believe that we all have to proselytize.
Right.
Judaism has to proselytize. It's kashrut.
Yeah.
What goes into the body, make it clean, and on the outside of the body, the actions will be clean. I think kashrut is the most important law of Judaism. How much time do you got? Because I know
yeah, I didn't realize it's almost 11 already. So
I know, we're pushing
need to
hard.
do a part 2, I think.
We got thousands of people listening in. This is a very successful podcast. We could do a part 2.
Yeah, we might need one.
This might just be the God one.
I think there's a lot to discuss. And look, one of the very important things, and I feel bad that I didn't have to say it, but what's very important is that we're mostly able to listen to each other. And just because we're listening and we're listening respectfully, doesn't mean we're agreeing on everything that's being said, but we can have a serious conversation that's respectful. And I think this country needs more of that. Like what happened to Charlie Kirk, unimaginably terrible horror. I mean, that's what happens when people can't sit and talk and communicate. So I hope tonight we've been a good example of people being able to communicate. Now, people may hate on you, hate on me for even having this conversation. But the reality is we need to speak more to each other and then address the difficult things. And again, just because we're listening respectfully doesn't mean we're agreeing on everything. We may find there's much we agree in, especially in part 2. We may find that there's much we may disagree with. But it doesn't mean we can't get together and have this great exchange of ideas so that people can learn from this example. When
we first started this idea of a podcast, and this is to the glory of God, because when you go down the place, God is like such a unifying force. When people truly are about the living God, it's hard to like focus or pivot or go down.
No,
I really wanted to talk about Israel and Syria because you're Syrian, and I really wanted to, but it's just, the God talk is so contagious.
Well, it's ultimately the most important thing.
It really
answers everything else. It really does. It really does. And I wish more people took this subject important. And honestly, people may be upset. Why didn't you talk about this subject or this subject?
Why didn't you bring up Gaza and the Palestinians?
Well, and listen, but I wouldn't mock them and how.
I'll tell you why it's important to not talk about Gaza and the Palestinians.
No.
It always drowns out the conversation. It's always like this lead weight where it's like, you have nothing valuable to say because Palestine.
Well,
and it's like we have to get past that.
Listen, I wouldn't go as far as you are on that because the reality is, look, just in the last few months, I mean, hundreds of journalists that still have been killed by Israel. I mean, just thousands of Palestinian civilians have been killed. I mean, I think Israel. I don't want to open the subject now because already 11.
I don't think we should because I could say one thing and then we have like a liability for like an hour to the audience
The point is, look, I do think Palestine and Gaza are important things to discuss. I think the issue of Israel is an important thing to discuss. We want to talk about the Samson option. I mean, there was so much we were looking forward to discussing today.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a part 2.
And I think we'll have to do a part 2 so it gives it its time. But I always believe that talking about God is the most important thing because if people truly understood God, I think everything else would fall into place, So I appreciate the conversation.
I do too, because, coming from the God perspective, to kind of take a step back, the Muslim community got to hear from a Jew, real Jewish theology. The Jewish community got to see from a Muslim, real Muslim theology. And I appreciate you for condemning acts of violence.
Of course.
For engaging in dialogue, for...
I appreciate you for having me on for your audience to hear from a Muslim who ran apparently a terror organization according to DeSantis.
He did. He ran a terror organization. He did. He founded the terror
in
organization.
Florida. Not a real terror organization, just one that DeSantis.
Just one that supports terror
No.
organizations. Have you ever met Hassan Nasrallah?
No.
Have you ever had any dialogue with Hassan Nasrallah?
No, but my grandma is from the southern Lebanon. May God have mercy on her soul. Her village is all Hezbollah.
Wow, that's crazy.
She's Shia, Lebanese, and my grandfather's.
So you're
Syrian
part
Sunni.
You're part Shia, part Sunni.
Ethnically, I have.
I like to troll the Shia and tell them that Sunni Islam is the correct form of Islam.
Well,
I'm like, you Shiites.
No, but
you Shiites don't know Shiite, all right? I'm just using. I'm clowning. They're gonna be like jihad.
Oh my God, jihad is a beautiful thing. It means struggling for good, and even the war aspect of jihad is.
I want to focus. Look, we'll end this on a positive note because it's about God. We're talking about God. We're talking about all these things that we clearly overlap in the God department, right? Yeah. Clearly, maybe even more so than both of us do with Christianity. I mean,
well, I to be honest, I find Islam is sort of in the middle between Christianity and Judaism. Like, we don't have as many laws.
In a triangle, you could say that all of them are in the middle.
That's true.
I really think Judaism is in the middle of Christianity and Islam.
Well, what I mean by that, just to specify what I mean is I think the Christians have gone like way away from the law completely.
Yeah. And like the law doesn't matter.
There's no law.
Exactly.
Just believe and you're good. And then the Jews have like 613 laws, you said, or a lot of laws. Muslims were in the middle. We don't have that many laws, but we also.
How many laws do you guys have?
It's not really like that.
You don't have like a set number.
No, I don't. And there's not a set number. I mean, it's just. I think the 10 Commandments and then some, things off of that. But it's not. It's nowhere near as technical as it is in the Jewish tradition. So we definitely honor the law. Like, we take the practice seriously. But it's not like hundreds of different things that we have to sort of memorize and learn. Also, even Jesus, like, we believe he was a prophet, but we will never bow down or worship him. Where the Christians are.
You don't think he's God?
Hell no.
Yeah,
hell
we both
no.
don't. We don't.
Hell no.
Jews are allowed.
But neither is Muhammad, neither is Moses. God is unseen, the seer of all.
Halachically, that's legally in Judaism. Jews are allowed to pray in a mosque, but we're not allowed to pray in a church.
Interesting, right?
Because they have at the center of their church a figure. Where
in the mosque you won't find any pictures because you cannot.
And this is another thing. Like, I think like these two religions are much more simpatico. And we're also neighbors. And I kind of feel like if we stick to the God path and like avoid like the low-hanging trap of the modern political sphere, I feel like the unity will override, like the spirituality will override the physicality.
I hope so. And I respect you saying that, because the truth of the matter right now, like in the last few months, I've seen so much anti-Muslim hate, especially on X. And I feel like a lot of that was also pushed out by,
a lot of that is caused by like what's going on in Europe.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but I'm talking about like the voices. Like, I didn't want to name names, but like Randy Fine, Loomer, others. I mean, they're painting like us Muslims as a threat and all this all this nonsense, and trying to sort of turn Muslims and Christians against each other. And that's very dangerous. And I don't see you, from my interaction with you, I don't see you doing that. And I respect that. I actually appreciate you talking about sort of the similarities.
Whatever you do, do not get me taken off Care's wall of shame. I will be so pissed if Care all of a sudden says Adam King is cool.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe I get to know.
They're going to say I'm cool just because.
Or maybe I get you even a double strike on it.
Please,
we'll see
get
what
me
happens.
A double strike.
We'll have to learn. And that's the truth. Like,
I'm just clowning, folks.
You and I we didn't know each other before this. This is the most we've ever talked. And I came into this intentionally. Without trying to have an argument or a fight or a debate or so. Let me look up what he said, and it wasn't about that. I think it was just about having civil discourse, and I appreciate that we started with God.
Yeah, we should have had some tea too.
Could definitely some tea, especially when
had
we're
a little tea,
and
but we'll do a second if the internet wants it. Maybe we don't.
We'll see.
Maybe we won't do the political thing. Maybe we just focus on God and say, you know what? Fuck your old world. This is the new world. And God rules all the worlds, and so we're ushering in a new age. But maybe we could, maybe we don't.
When we connect with God, right, again, I do believe then we will have the best positions on everything else. Because ultimately, if God is one, his creation is all one. Doesn't mean that, everything is the same. No, but that you cannot honor God without honoring his creation. What I want to see is more people honoring all human life the same, regardless of their race, religion,
including Jewish life.
Including Jewish life, including the life of Gazan children as well. You know what I'm saying? Look, we've seen Muslims out there that are saying, bad things about Jews. And we've also seen Israelis like mocking Palestinians drinking water and pretending that they don't have water. And I know people that have died over
And we also saw like nonstop AI footage of like flooding in Gaza that never happened.
No, I mean there is bad rain in Gaza.
AI footage like
but I think
come on,
so
the AI
this is the interesting thing, and I think
Gaza
that's what gives me hope that there's room for movement. Because here's the deal. I have people on the ground in there and I've seen what people are facing. And sometimes I wonder like how can people be okay with it? And then when I realize maybe they don't really believe it's happening. Maybe they think it's all AI. Because guess what? There is a lot of AI. There is a lot of fake stuff, but you don't need the fake stuff. And sometimes
if there's such a crazy thing, like you don't need AI. There's so much of it.
And my fear is maybe people...
I saw this video the other day. I come out where this Gazan man was slandering Hamas because of the fake videos, saying, "Why are you making these fake videos? Why are you doing this?"
My fear is that who the hell is behind this fake stuff? Because trust me, I know there's plenty of real stuff. I don't know if it's them. I don't know if it's Mossad. I don't know who the hell it is.
Of course,
and I don't want to open up that conversation.
It's always the Jews. The Jews do it to themselves.
Look, you guys built 15% of these buildings. But anyway, listen, let's end it on a good note.
We didn't destroy any of them. We built them.
Well, let's not.
Round 2, folks. It's coming up.
Let's not talk about how many buildings you guys destroyed in Gaza. But I think round 2 would be very, very, very interesting.
I want to thank you for coming.
No, thank you so much.
This was a really wonderful conversation.
I appreciate it.
And I hope that really, we're Americans, and I hope that our communities in America can have peace with each other. Yeah. And I hope
we have to have peace.
I hope that we, as Americans, especially conservative, faith-based, family-orientated Americans,
we have to protect the future for our children here.
And we should, this constant need to bring our Middle Eastern problems over here needs to stop.
I would love for all of us just to focus on America, keep America a free and just nation for all our children. Additionally, I would just love for us to stay out of the rest of the world. And for me, it's like keep our tax dollars at home.
That's
America
not going to happen.
I know. And that's a separate conversation.
America's an empire.
And that's a problem. I think that's a problem.
But he wants the American empire to end, folks.
No, I want America first. Keep our tax dollars at home.
Yeah, America first. America first. Just only in this part of the earth.
Honestly, in everything. I mean, what the heck are we doing in Venezuela right now, bro? I can't even keep up with
saving the world.
Is that we're saving the world in Venezuela?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's wild. I don't know enough about it to get into it. But again, I like to keep our military here. I like to keep our tax dollars at here. And I like to preserve freedom and liberty here.
Do you know if our military is not deployed in the world, do you know how much piratism happens? How many trade routes are in, how much is blocked to everywhere? Medical technology, medical goods, you name it. Yeah. It all becomes at risk. And unfortunately, America has to be this police of the world, or else they're, for the sake of trade, for the sake of,
Well, I think there's always some necessary level of involvement, but ultimately my concern is just how our economy is doing at home, and how people are struggling right now. And when I see military movement, I often wonder who's profiting financially from these things. And a lot of times, look, to be honest, I'm a little bit skeptical. I think those in charge, really of any country, they're all like on one side, man. Like all the mega ultra billionaires and the rulers, I think they have more in common with each other across faith and political and religious lines than they do with the common person.
Without a doubt.
And that's the truth. And that's what people forget. I think people forget we may have a lot more in common with each other just by virtue of not being billionaire elites, and we got our work cut out. But look, at the end of the day.
And we are used by the billionaire elites for their political agendas. Yeah. Because the billionaire elites are not the ones going into battle.
Well, and they profit from both sides buying their weapons. It's wild. So I think there's a lot for us to discuss. I'm looking forward to the next conversation. Very interesting to talk about this subject of God and free will and faith. I want to finish with one of my favorite examples as well. I'll just wrap it up with one of the scholars said that angels have intellect with no desire, and humans have and animals have desire with no intellect, and humans have been given both. And if we choose our intellect, our heart, our spirit, our soul over our desires, we rise higher than angels. But if we choose our desires over our intellect, we fall worse than animals.
You know, these conversations are so good. I speak with a lot of Gentiles, and this is one of the most esoteric theological conversations I can have with someone from a different faith. So, in the new world which I'm building in the Middle East, this is what happens. People sit down in coffee shops and they just talk about God, and they share, hey, my culture has this thing about God, and I have this thing about God. Let me show you this food recipe. Let me show you this song. Let's praise God. Did you read the book of Psalms? Have you heard this expression from this Muslim scholar like you're just sharing with me? So I just see, obviously we didn't get to the part of the conversation of talking about, the future borders of Israel, the future and final borders of Israel. And outside of that context, I really feel that there's a new world to be had where the average person doesn't have to engage in conflict. It's a losing battle to fight Israel. Israel's not going to get wiped out.
Well,
There's
I think
no way.
The example you mentioned, what was it, the Samson option, where everything gets nuked? If
Mutually
Israel,
assured destruction.
yeah.
If they try to remove Israel, first of all, they couldn't.
But I have a question. The Samson option, is America a target on that?
No.
I've heard it is.
Why would it be?
I don't know.
It's like this. Just because we're talking about it. Nuclear technology, Israel's 400 nuclear missiles on ICBMs that could go into space. Israel's space program is unbelievable. Israel is so much more technologically advanced than all of its neighbors. It's not even funny. Militarily. Fighting Israel is guaranteed suicide. The nuclear option isn't... Let's say every single Muslim in the world decided to go at once and attack Israel. Their nations would be melted. Their buildings would be melted. Their flesh would be melted off their skin.
I know, but
it would be so destructive and devastational. There would be nothing left for 7,000 miles of rubble.
Well, I think this is
what is the win?
I think this is what Israel has shown us with Gaza, that they're willing to go to any extent to win.
We are.
And I respect that you're straight up about it, but I disagree with that policy.
Why don't we invade North Korea?
Because of the nukes?
Because Japan won't exist if we do, right? Japan's like the hostage. If America invaded North Korea, South Korea wouldn't exist and Japan wouldn't exist. And Japan is one of the most important economies in the world, right? So why doesn't the same logic apply to Israel? And this maybe we save for another conversation. Maybe it's...
I'm not in favor of war or conflict there. What I'm in favor for is that people gather together and be united, saying, listen, we cannot justify the killing of children anymore. And far too many children have been killed.
And it's always about children with you guys.
Well,
it's never about anybody but
forget
the
children.
And it's
the
also...
women and the men. It's
but not Hamas. Like, it's only about the woman and the children and not Hamas.
Man. For me, it's irrelevant, brother. It's just too
And
much.
I think you hit it on the head just now saying it's irrelevant. I think the Saudis get this. I think the Bahrainis get this. The Emirates get this. And the Arabs are starting to change. And if you let me explain why. Is because they see a different reality. They see militaristically that conquering Israel is impossible without destroying your own nation. Fighting Israel.
That's a situation.
That's the reality.
That's a situation with nuclear
There
weapons.
is no way to defeat Israel without losing everything. It's called mutually assured destruction. And the Saudis and the Bahrainis and the Emiratis, they realize that this country has unlimited technology, unbelievable business opportunities. They could be prosperous with Israel, or they could be destroyed trying to destroy Israel.
I think we taking the conversation back to God. We all will be questioned about what military action we supported, we didn't support. We will be questioned about every drop of blood that is shed and whether it was justified or not. My concern right now is far too much innocent blood has been shed. And if we are to see the children of all people, and yes, it is about the children, if we were to see, especially because I'm a
The
father,
Jewish children too.
the Jewish children as
Like
well.
all the ones killed on
here-
October 7th.
Yes, the problem is in Gaza, how many October 7th have we had since then?
Did you read the
That's
book?
what I'm saying. For me, listen, pardon me. When a Jewish child is killed, my heart grieves because I'm a father. But when I see Telegram groups, when I see Randy Fat Fuck Fine, I'm sorry, I normally don't talk like that, but he deserves every dirty word. And so does
He's
everyone
not as
supports
fat
him.
as everybody thinks he is.
Bro, I hope that's, freaking AI, because I've never seen someone that big. But
It
anyway,
is AI. Those fat
this
pictures are very Go see him on my show a few weeks ago. He was on my show just a
my
few weeks
problem
ago.
with him is he's celebrating the murder of Palestinian children. It's on his X. And that is a red line. And any person who supports him in celebrating the death of children has crossed a red line.
And I can also say that about other members of Congress who do the same thing.
Give me any
marginalizing.
Listen, any quote, give me any person who celebrated the death of children, I will condemn them and curse them. There is never room to celebrate. And those who celebrate the killing of children have to answer to God, my brother. Let's finish it with that.
Let's finish on a good note.
No,
Not on Randy Fine. We don't have to finish on Randy Fine. We'll save that for a second part.
It'll be a fun convo,
I think
but I think it's important. Look, people can see
the God conversation is the real place to unify. But I do want to air out those conversations because I feel if we don't talk about the big elephant in the room, then we end up with an October 7th. Then we end up with a Gaza. Then we end up with whatever it is.
Right.
There's a story in the Bible that Shem rapes Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and Shimon and Levi kill every single person. They just desecrate him. In Judaism, we don't believe in equal measures.
Okay.
We believe that if somebody makes an infraction on us, we don't stop. We go. And
what does that mean, you don't stop? How far do you go?
Until our objective is met, which is the hostages are returned. Nothing in Gaza.
The hostages have been returned and hundreds have been killed since.
Nothing has had to happen.
And I think that's where
nothing had to. Let me finish.
Sure.
Nothing had to happen after October 7th. If the hostages were immediately returned, there would have been no war.
That was true, but the hostages.
There would have been no war.
The hostages about hundreds of Palestinian civilians have been killed since all the hostages have been released, if not thousands.
Why does a Syrian Muslim not focus on Syrian-Israeli relations? Why does he focus on Israel-Palestinian relations, knowing that not only it's not our nukes, it's our space lasers. We will melt your flesh. But do you not fear that?
But no, I mean, I don't fear
that. Why poke the bear?
No. Let me be clear. I want there to be peace in Syria, peace for God.
And this is what the Saudis get. They're like, I'm tired of stagnation at the hands of the Palestinians.
Listen, it's not about that. I think the issue, and I think on a fundamental theological difference, is you said something that's very eye-opening, which is we will go as far as we need to. As a Muslim, even with the rules of jihad, I don't believe in going as far as you need to. I believe there are red lines. And I published a paper. I want people to check it out. Just Google my name and just war theory in Islam. And I write about the Islamic rules of combat. And I'll be honest, there have been some Muslims that haven't followed it. And I condemn that. That's what I'm saying. I think there's this, I see some people that I vehemently disagree with. And I know it's not all Jews that support that. I mean, there's many Jews that are actually vehemently against this. But I see too many people like Randy Fine celebrating the killing of children and saying we will go as far as we need to. And I think that's what's dangerous. And I think that's what angers the divine. So
I think very clearly that like the plan for Gaza is much bigger.
Right.
I actually am one of the proponents that I really hope America takes Gaza. I really think Gaza is just a fuck zone. I think
it's become
Egypt has been such a problem for the Gazans, yet they get such a hall pass in the responsibility of the Gazans. Israel's the largest foreign aid contributor to the Gazans. There's a Supreme Court case in Israel that's been going on for like 30 years about the electricity bill of Gaza because the electricity company is a private company in Israel. And the Gazan authority refuses to pay their electricity. They refuse to pay their water, and Israel still gives them electricity and gives them water. And
Well,
this,
I mean,
like I said, if
yeah,
we go down this path,
it's going to take
it's
us
going to
down.
be another
It's gonna be
hour,
another 2 hours.
maybe two,
Another
maybe
2
three.
hours.
You know,
We'll talk. I think we're going to need a part 2. The main thing, and this is where if we are working the common ground, it is equally honoring. And I don't want to put you in a difficult position and ask you to condemn Randy or anything like that. But the point is, I don't understand how people like him or others can be okay with the killing of children and celebrate it. If they're playing a character, I would hope, but even then, to even pretend to be okay with it is a problem. And that's where we need to be united. And I believe, because I do think your love of God is sincere.
What do you think about Bondi Beach? What do you think about...
Bondi was horrific, and I'm so proud of the Syrian Muslim who took out, took out one of the killers.
I appreciate you saying that. You know,
I mean, he's a hero. He's made all of us Syrians proud. I mean, I have never been prouder to be a Syrian than to see Abdullah, the hero, rush that bastard. I got to stop.
You're a Syrian first. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm an American
first. No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You culturally identify so strongly with a Syrian that when a Syrian is the hero,
I was so happy
when the Syrian is the hero, it gives you this sense.
Oh, I was so proud of
You know what I'm saying?
So proud, and he was a hero.
I feel the same way about the field hospital that we ran on the border of Syria. When I was director of American Committee for Sharia Tzedek, Israel has this field hospital in Syria. I felt the same way. Why can't those stories be what leads Syria and Israel forward? Why does the Palestinians have to be this gatekeeper for Syrians and Israelis?
I think there's a big rift between sort of the Palestine movement and the Syrian movement, because some were very unhappy with us celebrating the downfall of Assad and celebrating the new leadership there. They felt
Are you for Jelani?
I am against Assad.
You're against Assad.
100% against Assad, and if that makes me for Jelani, then I'm for Jelani.
I think Jelani's cool. I don't see why.
Well, and to be honest,
they're like, he was Al Qaeda. Yeah, and he's ready to join the Abraham Accords. Let's get real, folks.
I've been called a Zionist for celebrating. You saw me criticizing Israel and Gaza. I've been called a Zionist.
Who called you a Zionist?
I mean, you just look it up on X, man.
The Syrian girl?
Probably somebody like that. She'll do that kind of stuff.
Let's just call her for who she is. She's Australian girl.
Dude, I have no idea who she is, but yeah.
Don't you hate Anon accounts?
I hate Anon accounts, but anyway.
You know how much balls it takes to show your face in the X
Thank
space?
you, and we're both doing that.
And the Anon accounts, they come in and they get astroturfed through the ass, and they're like, I can exist in the shadows.
It's wild. It's wild. But look,
on both sides,
the Syrian people, I mean, it's no secret I hate Netanyahu, but I hate Assad even more than I hate Netanyahu. I mean, Assad has killed over 1 million civilians in Syria.
How many women and children were killed in Syria?
Over 1 million. That's what I'm saying. Over 1 million civilians
and people,
killed in
Syrians, will LARP about Gazan women and children before they even begin to talk about the women and children in Syria.
No, that's not true. I mean, listen, for the last decade and a half, we were heavy lobbying the U.S. government to impose the sanctions against the Assad regime. I mean, we were stretched, but I think the main difference for us is that the Assad regime never had American tax funding support, whereas Israel did. So that's why because people ask this question, why you guys focus more on this issue? It's like, well, tax dollars go there. Now, and I mean, it's heartbreaking. You look at now, you even see what's happening in Sudan. We're speaking out against what's happening in Sudan. For us as people of God, what outrages us is the shedding of innocent blood. And I think far too many people on far too many sides of the aisle find ways to justify it. And I'm just over it. Like, I'm over it. And I think what's really changing, we're talking about having kids, and may God bless you with righteous children. When you have a 4-year-old daughter of your own, and you look at her and you see the love you have for her, it really changes the priorities. And whenever you see an injured child, whether they're Palestinian or Jewish, and the data is clear, like there's been a lot more Palestinian children than Jewish children killed. I mean, in the last few years, in the last decade, however far you want to go back. But it doesn't matter. It's not about the numbers. Ultimately, when you see one of those children killed, if you're a father yourself, it brings tears to your eyes because you remember the love you have for your own child, not if it was your child in their position. So I just think this is something we can unite on. Let us set the highest standards. Let us not take a position that, listen, we will go as far as we need to achieve our objective. I would rather lose in this life than go in and say Israel was attacking me and I was in Syria, and the only way I could save Syria is if I, blew up a military command center that would lead 100 Jewish children to be killed, I would rather, screw it, be killed myself than kill 100 Jewish children. Because for me, I'd rather meet God having never shed the blood of an innocent child. I don't care about the material mission. This material world is worthless in the sight of God.
I think
that's
that
my
this
philosophy.
term, first of all, I'm with you.
Yeah.
About the loss of life of innocence. No innocence should be killed ever. It does happen in war.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a justified.
I'm not justifying it.
And all that, but
I'm not justifying it.
Yeah.
I've never been in battle, but I was on a war front, and it is horrible when tanks are shooting at each other and people are shooting at each other. There's chaos, and people get caught in the fray of chaos. And the best thing to do if you're on a war front is to leave the war front. Just plain and simple. That being said, what defines innocence? It's not every single woman and child is innocent. There's many child soldiers that are out there, and if a child comes at me with a gun, and I'm not getting into the specifics of each individual thing, but if a child came at me with a gun, knowing that all it has to do is pull the trigger, I'm not going to die, I would take out the child. I would say, I'm sorry, my life is more important than you if you're trying to murder me. In the same context, it's not fair to say that in the realm of a child. It's better to understand that in a realm of a woman. It's easy to solicit sympathy by saying these three words: innocent women and children. But there's a lot of women who aren't innocent. They are active combatants, and they hide behind this idea of innocent women and children. I don't want to go down this path fully because I think it undermines a lot of what we talked about. I would just say that I condemn the loss of life of all innocents, Jewish and non-Jewish. I don't want my personal mission is a unifying mission.
Right.
And I want and I'm grateful that we got to speak heavily on
we have
God.
to be honest with
even
each
though
other,
we're having this conversation at the very end, I think it's good that we talked a little bit about it.
Address it.
But I think for my mission, what I'm focused on is the future, and that not being held up by the conversations of the past. And I'm not here for any accountability except my own responsibility for my own mission of what I was brought here to do. That's in my book, Ad Shiloh. It's called Ad Shiloh because Shiloh is, first of all, my favorite character in the entire Bible. Shiloh is the Messiah. It says in Jacob's blessing to Judah, the scepter nor a scholar will depart from Judah until Shiloh. Ad Shiloh, the title of my book. For his will be a gathering of all the peoples of the world. In this kumbaya moment, I'm really about that life. I do see that there is a geopolitical national ambition inside of that. And we could get into that in a separate episode. We're going to
need one. I think it would be good to have one.
It's so easy to have these forward-moving conversations and then say, oh, the innocent Gazans, or the innocent this, or the killing of that, or the killing, which takes the forward motion and brings it back to the past. Now, I don't care. Justice is for God to determine who is right and who is wrong. You could swear by Islam. I could swear by the Torah that I'm right. You could swear that you're right. In the end, God truly knows, and God is Baruch Dayana Emet. He is the true judge. What we don't know is that in not knowing the true judgment, who's right, who's wrong, who's innocent, who's not, there's a door that's open if we're humble enough to say, like as an American, I didn't have any slaves, I didn't scalp any Indians. Where I could say, I'm forward focused on a new world. In order to achieve that new world, we have to have, more importantly than serious conversations about all the shit, we have to have the things that unify us be the things that lead us forward. Because if we focus on division, it's like part of free will is that whatever you focus on, you get more of.
Right.
If you focus on the bad, you will see bad. Kabbalah teaches that if you see the good in something or someone, to focus on that. And through our own free will, you can even change. A thief, if you look at a thief, everybody says he's a no good, dirty, low beat thief. But at the end of every day, The old lady in his building, he walks her in, he carries her groceries in. For some reason, he never would steal from her. He's kind. He always takes care of her. She's sick. He makes her soup. If we say, yeah, he's a thief, but he does this one good thing, by focusing on that one good thing through our free will, being more righteous than they are, because he's a lowly thief and I'm not a thief. Not to say I'm righteous, but to say that I have somewhat of an influence, that I care more about righteousness than maybe he does. So someone who cares more righteous, it's called davening l'chaschut. By saying about that thief, hey, he is flawed, but he does good. By focusing on the good, you expand the good.
I'm with you. I understand.
And so for the future of our peoples, our ethnicities, for the future of our relationship in America, for the future of our relationships in our homelands, I want to focus on the good things, intentionally overlooking. There's certain conversations. Let Randy Fine handle the Gaza conversation. Let those people handle that. The moving forward conversation, you either are in the forward movement or you're stuck in the past. And that conflict, Israel is going to expand further. It's a reality.
See, I respect that you say it so direct and open.
It will happen. And by accepting it, we can find ways to work together to avoid human loss. For example, we will go back to the West Bank. I would love it if we can buy the homes from these people. Not fight in war. Let them have the dignity of making a profit.
I really appreciate how direct you are about sort of the expansionist sort of.
Because
agenda.
if I don't talk about it, it's going to be a surprise war. And it doesn't have to be war. And like I said, if it comes down to existential war, everyone's flesh melts off their skin and there's only destruction. So by talking this way and saying, hey, look, we are going to expand. I'll give you an example. I cannot go to the graves of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob except for twice a year. It's a mosque. It's a grave of my ancestors. The graves of Samuel the prophet is a mosque. The grave of Joseph is a mosque.
I believe they were all our prophets as well. That's
okay, but they're also our ancestors.
Right.
So if you have that they're your prophets in your religion, but forbade their descendants from coming to their graves, therein lies a cultural clash that will always cause friction. People like to talk about Jerusalem and the Temple Mount. The real issue is Hebron. The real issue is visitation rights to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We're only allowed to go to our ancestors' graves twice a year. We're rarely allowed to go to Joseph's grave. Under violence, if we go to these graves, we are met with violence at these graves. And some of us are descended of them. King David's tomb was a mosque. Like I said, Samuel's tomb was a mosque. All these tombs...
It's because we honor them, so we built mosques around.
But then you forbade their descendants from visitation. And that will always be a source of conflict for Jews like myself, who my ethnic...
Were they forbidden from visiting prior to the creation of the State of Israel?
Yes.
Okay, I'll have to look it up because I'm not familiar with the history on that.
I would implore you and your Muslim community to look at the graves of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the tomb of the patriarchs in Hebron, and to be an advocate for Jewish rights at the tomb of the patriarchs.
I mean, again, the issue...
Also the Temple Mount. Why can't the Jews have a synagogue up there? You know, now it's actually happening. After many years, they're building a synagogue on the Temple Mount. It's going to be... It's imminent. When the Muslims go to the Haram al-Sharif, the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Haram al-Sharif are different. When they go to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, they put their back to the Haram al-Sharif and bow before Mecca because they pray to Mecca. But the Jews pray to the Haram al-Sharif. That's our center. So why can't we have a synagogue up there and pray in our land to pray to our God facing the place that you put your backs to? That's one area that we could unify. You know, the Al-Aqsa Mosque is actually King Solomon's home. It's the palace of King Solomon that he builds in the Bible. The Haram al-Sharif is God's temple. the temple, the third temple, the second temple, the first temple was always at this Haram al-Sharif. As long as Jews are forbidden because of like they're afraid of intifada or they're afraid of this or that, so the Jews like don't allow Jewish prayer rites on the Temple Mount, which is changing. But that creates a lot of friction. That creates a lot of the precursors which cause the conflicts. And so in this forward-moving conversation with you, and with anybody else in your audience who's inspired by this, let's talk about the real things. Why is Israel expansionist? Because we will expand to our grave sites of our ancestors. We will. We will have control over the graves of our ancestors. And if they're a mosque, they're like symbolic mosques. They're not even used as mosques today. Some of them are, and some of them are just like former mosques that aren't even used, and they're always
the price of that expansion, as you said, is an insane amount of loss of life. Is it worth it?
I think so far it has not been an insane amount of loss of life relatively to what it could be. And I think that we owe ourselves credit. All of us,
I can't.
Listen,
yeah, go ahead.
We owe ourselves credit because we're fully aware of what you are calling the Samson option. We are all fully aware that the death toll could be in the tens, if not 100 million people could be killed in a massive conflagration.
But that's what scares me, is that when people are okay with that being an option on the table.
I'll tell you why. I will not walk like a sheep towards my slaughter. If someone tries to kill me, I will kill them first. And that is a law in my commandment. I don't want war. I don't want bloodshed. I'm not afraid of it.
What if you didn't expand and didn't have war and just stayed within the boundaries?
So what if we give up what if we give up the Temple Mount, you're saying? What if we give up the tombs of our ancestors?
What if the fighting just stopped? Everyone stayed where they are. Everyone had equal rights under the law, and that's it.
I would love for a world like that to exist.
That's the ideal situation. That's what we call for.
But who can? Let me ask you.
And
a
I
question.
do listen.
Let me ask you a question under that pretext, and we're entering that 2-hour conversation.
No, we can't, bro.
I know. I gotta go too. It's like a long time.
Yeah.
But under that context of that new world that we're trying to create, these sites, like I'm saying, the Temple Mount or the Tomb of the Patriarchs, those are our things. Those are our ancestors' graves. They belong to us as a possession, as a Yerusha, as an inheritance. So as long as those are being administered by somebody else where we will have to ask permission to use those things, it's a non-starter conversation.
The issue is, in terms of moving forward, you don't want to come off looking like you care more. Although
I don't care how I look. I'll tell you why I don't care how I look. People are like, oh, Israel's losing the PR war. Do you want to know why people care about this imaginary PR war? Because everybody else already lost the real wars.
Well, what I'm hearing quite candidly is that there's more care and concern, and I do respect your honesty and straightforwardness about it. And then I want to talk to you about how we can keep this forward thinking, but that there's more concern about whether you can access some historical site than the amount of innocent life that is being killed and has been killed. And I do believe,
and that has to do with Jewish sovereignty.
But I don't.
So you don't believe in Jewish sovereignty?
Not if it comes at that kind of price, man.
See, I believe in Jewish sovereignty at all costs.
I appreciate that, and that's a huge point for people to understand. I think that's a very important one.
And this
believing in Jewish sovereignty at any cost. That's where we sort of draw a line. I don't believe in anyone's sovereignty at any cost.
I don't want to say any cost.
Yeah, okay.
I want to say all costs.
At all costs. That's
because
huge.
The annihilation of the Jewish people is a threat that we face in every single generation. And it's something that I would rather be a villain in their eyes than suffer the extinction of my people.
See, for me,
I know at night I sleep with my head righteous. I feel very righteous. With God, I feel unified with God. That because, and this is something that you don't understand if you're not a Jew. You don't understand the hunted nature of being a Jew. You don't understand what it's like to be a dhimmi. You've never been a dhimmi. Your ancestors were not dhimmi. You don't understand what it's like to not have sovereignty, to not be in control of your own destiny. in such a world of dhimmi, the choice to serve God of our ancestors through the Torah is heightened. It's harder. They make it more difficult. They intentionally.
But I mean, Mendy's right. He was a dhimmi, right? And he was the doctor of the Sultan. I mean, under Islamic
and he was a slave to the Sultan. He was not free.
But he was honored and he was respected and he was in a noble
What is the
position.
price of honor if you don't have your
I mean,
freedom?
The idea, because I think it's often misunderstood. So Muslims under Islamic rule had to pay zakah and serve in the military. Those who were not Muslim paid a tax which was often less than the taxes they paid under previous empires. There's always a tax, and they were exempt from military service. But I understand what you're saying. Here's what I'm hearing, because again, I don't want this to turn super late, but I think we're getting to something very important, which is you believe in Israel's sovereignty and its right to expand, and that should and can come at any price.
Not unlimited expansion.
Not unlimited. I know you want to expand to the greater Israel.
I want to expand to what is outlined in the Bible.
Okay,
that's it.
So you want that, and you're willing to pay all price to get it.
Northern expansion is done. It will never go further north. The only possible way that Israel will take any part of Syria is that small southern section with the Druze. If something happens in there with the, I know the Druze
we want Israel not going into Syria anymore. That would be very important.
We have Mount Hermon. That's ours. It's never going back.
Didn't you guys just recently take it?
We took it, yeah.
That's what right after the fall of Assad, you guys moved in and took Syrian land.
And it's not Syrian land, it's Jewish land, and Mount Hermon is in the Bible. And we have we have no ambition to go forward.
Well, I'm glad you don't want to.
North.
Yeah.
West is the sea. East is the Jordan River all the way down. The only thing missing is the Sinai Peninsula. And that's Greater Israel. And the Sinai Peninsula is uninhabited. It was traded for with peace.
So why do you want the Sinai? Is it because you believe it was religiously promised?
Well, first of all, we're the only people to ever have a historical legacy in the peninsula. Our book, we created 42 places, cities that we lived in the Sinai Peninsula. They're very holy to Jews. And the deal was struck. I hate these guys, Moshe Dayan and Ariel Sharon and all these Jews who like to give actual physical value land for a futile signature on a paper that says peace. The peace is not real. The land is a physical, tangible asset.
Right.
The reason the Sinai Peninsula is important is twofold. This benefits Syria tremendously, actually. The future plan in Israel is for the Ben Gurion Canal. This is probably the most significant terraforming event on planet Earth that creates balance and peace for everyone. Right now, Egypt controls all trade to Europe, and it's very stagnated. The Suez Canal is tremendously outdated. It's only one lane, and Egypt influences soft power on countries through mechanisms like creating a delay in the Suez Canal, or a ship breaks down. There's nothing we could do about it. It was intentional. It's called soft power influence. The Ben Gurion Canal project starts in Ashdod, and this is why, as an American, it's so important that America controls Gaza. And as an American, you should want America to control Gaza, because the Ben Gurion Canal project starts in Ashdod and goes to Eilat through the mountains. It's a 2-lane superhighway canal where ships can go in both directions at the same time, where goods from the east can enter into the Mediterranean basin without the tax of Egypt. Now, this is so important for Syria, because Syria is a Mediterranean power. Syria doesn't have ocean access anywhere but the Mediterranean. There's always a power struggle between Egypt and Syria throughout history. Read the Bible. The Syrian-Egyptian wars Israel is constantly stuck in the Syrian-Egyptian wars of influence in the Bible. It's like one of the main things of dominance in Israel is these wars that take place between Syria and Egypt. And trade wars between the two nations still are the way that they are today. Egypt exhibits a tremendous amount of influence and control with Turkey over Syria through the Suez Canal. The Ben Gurion Canal project benefits all the port cities of Syria. So once that's done and that canal is built, Yemen is going to try to constantly influence the trade routes. If any ship goes through, our pirates are going to take them over. It's like a shit show with them. They don't respect the world's common trade. They're not acting, they're not respecting the difference between civilian and military. To them, everything is military because secretly it works for this, it works for that, blah, 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 blah. Egypt puffs chest to Israel when Israel wants to build this highway, this lane, because it doesn't want to lose its hegemony and monopoly over trade. But everybody knows when you open up a new freeway that's twice as many lanes, you just got to get your shit to market. You're going. There should be more than one option. There shouldn't be one country that holds the goods of every single power the way that it does.
Here's the situation.
And Gaza sits at the center of that hub. Is Israel going to control it? Is America going to control it? I think that if America controls it, it's that global influence that America has could be a very stabilizing force.
What about the 1-2 million people that are there?
They're going to have to leave.
What if they don't want to?
There's a problem.
What do you do with that problem?
You got to deport them.
And what if they resist?
Listen.
See, this is
where things get very complicated. And this is why I am a proponent of financial settlement as opposed to war. And I pray to God, there's money there. There's plenty of resources. I pray that we find another way. But if the Torah says in Shoftim 20:10, before you go to war against a city, you first have to call out to it in peace. You're not allowed to just go to war with a city.
But if they refuse, you're willing for the people there to be annihilated? I mean, if they refuse to leave...
If it's a milchemet mitzvah, if it's in the context of what the Torah ordains as a like you wrote in your book, there's legal war and then there's not legal war.
What if the people just said, we don't want to leave, we don't want to fight you, but we just want to be left alone, we're not going anywhere?
Well, then we've been trying that for a very long time. There's been a very strict guideline of what Israel is willing to accept. The removal of Hamas of power, true balance of power for the Gazan people, stability. There has to be no chaos. There has to be law and order. There is no law.
But would you be okay if there was stability? Would you be okay with pushing the people out if they didn't want to go?
If it's a milchemet mitzvah, and that's really about sovereignty over the land.
Yeah, I appreciate your honesty about it. I mean, I think these are the serious things to be
in the end of the day, there's like a large conversation that nobody wants to have.
Right.
How did those people get there in the first place?
So they were displaced from other parts of Palestine.
Egypt. Why is all their last names Al-Masri?
No, they're not Egyptians, man.
They are Egyptians.
Egyptian.
I want to give you something. Can I ask you?
It's almost.
We'll finish.
We don't want to go down there.
We'll finish.
I do want to end on a good note, but I want to say a few things because I've been listening for a little bit, but I want to respond briefly.
We'll get back. I just want you to research one thing. It's called the Army of the Holy War. It was the Wafd of Jerusalem, Haj Amin al-Hussein, and his relationship with Adolf Hitler, and his nephew, Qadar al-Hussein, who was the leader of the Army of the Holy War. And he gathered troops from Egypt and Jordan. And these families migrated and stayed largely in the West Bank, largely in Gaza. But the influence of Nazi Germany with the Palestinian Authority is one of these things that nobody wants to talk about, but they want Jews to just accept as a reality. Live with these people, live with them. But they don't want to live with us.
Well, I mean, I think the reason most recently they don't want to live with, because if you remember when the Jews were first coming into Palestine, they were being welcomed by Palestinians. They were being,
no, we weren't.
Yes, I could bring you people that
there were Palestinians that were looking for jobs because there was money coming into Israel at the time.
You guys moved in.
Israel was scarcely inhabited. One thing that people don't like to understand is up until the 1800s, there was not even 1 million people in the land.
Yeah, but there
was less than 200,000 people in the entire land. We're talking about show me a nation besides
this
Luxembourg.
This is going to turn into another 2-hour thing. I'm trying not to let it go there. But
we're approaching our 3-hour mark.
I
appreciate you. We're at 2.5 hours so far. So this is one of the better podcasts.
I appreciate it. Listen, here's the situation. I don't think that the concern needs to be about whether people think you are vile or not, right? I think the concern is always, is God pleased with our action? We started this conversation with God. I want to sort of turn it back towards that direction and sort of trying to see if we can wrap it up in the next few minutes. But ultimately, I do appreciate your candor and your honesty, and I think it's important that people fully understand sort of what your perspective is, what my perspective is, what you're okay with, what I'm okay with, where, and in fact, where people that support our position or disagree with our position draw the line as well. I think you've made very clear that there's certain objectives in terms of Israel's growth, that if those objectives are not achieved peacefully, things could get very, very violent for many, many people. And I think that's where I think the real question ultimately becomes, how do two men who deeply believe in God ultimately have such different political perspectives? And I think that's a very important thing to explore. It may even need a part 2 just to explore
we can do that
before getting into even that, because I think that's the fundamental thing. We both deeply believe in God. The majority of our beliefs about God are not too far apart, to be honest. You know, I think that they're very similar. We believe that God is one. He is pre-eternal. You know, he doesn't really need anything from us at all. We believe that he sort of created us to sacrifice. I know you believe you have different rules for the Jewish people, different rules for non-Jewish people, but ultimately, I think that's one of the big questions: is how do two people who believe in God can then disagree very strongly on certain things? And I'll be honest, as I'm trying to reflect this, because I really do believe your faith is sincere. You know, I believe you're a sincere seeker of God. I believe that's very important to you. And as I'm trying to understand it, I think maybe there are significant differences about what we understand the realities on the ground to be. And I think that may be leading to a lot, like you know, I talk about some
without a doubt.
I think you know, I talk about some people suffering. You believe maybe it's AI. I say no, you know that, but there's a lot of real ones. Or you believe the people there are from Egypt. I'm like, no, they're not. You know, so maybe we're not disagreeing about morality of certain things. Maybe we're disagreeing about the realities on the ground. At the same time, as we explore, maybe we do have different, I guess, rules of warfare that our religions may allow or may not allow. And I think that's something worthy of exploring as well.
I think it's important to understand one thing. In the last conflagration of 2025, when Israel was at war with 7 nations, it did not use any of its advanced weaponry.
Yeah.
In fact, it took out Hezbollah with very rudimentary objects, not even guns, not even bullets. And I think that there's something to understand. We don't want destruction.
Right, but I think you don't want, but I think you're willing to take whatever military action is necessary to achieve the objectives. And I think that may be an area of disagreement for us.
We don't have to we can achieve our objectives through a variety of ways, even without military means. And the patience of the Jewish people is large. And we try to, and we're still trying right now, obviously, because we could nuke every single nation and be a new world right now. It could happen like that.
The Samson option.
If we wanted to. But for some reason, we don't do it. Why? It's not like anybody would wake up the next day. There wouldn't be anyone the next day.
I mean,
and if people think Israel is so evil and has the ability to kill everybody but doesn't do that, that also begs for people to question what is really Israel about.
I'm interested in significantly more engagement with you to
and we do have to wrap this up, because this has been a great conversation.
But it's a good start, and I think again.
And when you talked about, and I'll say this, when you talked about knowing the underlying reality on the street, on the ground, one of the reasons why I want to have these conversations is because on my understanding of my reality on my ground is that we are so unbelievably militarily capable that
I agree with you on your
there
military
is
capability.
no way to defeat Israel without being defeated yourself. And I don't even think we get defeated. I think we defeat every single nation and we live. So if they want to try to defeat Israel, they all die and we live. That's how I actually believe.
Is that based in theological beliefs? Or
No, just in military capability. What we actually have is weaponry. And we probably wouldn't even use nukes. If it
hope not.
We would melt the
not.
cities. The stones of Aleppo would melt. The lasers.
But I think that's the concern.
We don't want to do that. But it's important. Like I gave the example of North Korea. The only person that saw a different way forward was President Trump. And the world has changed since he looked at North Korea in that way. And I beg the Syrians, the Jordanians, the Turks, the Saudis, the Qataris, the Kuwaitis, the Iraqis, even the Iranians to look at Israel in a different light. To say, there is no way to beat this power without being destroyed ourselves. And in doing so, what is a better approach forward for our people that will bring prosperity and not destruction?
You know, one of the most interesting things about this discussion, by the way, one is I really appreciate sort of the candor and the honesty, I think, from both of us on our perspectives. Number two is that, and I think the viewers saw this very clearly, is neither one of us approached this discussion in a way of trying to defeat the other or do a gotcha with one another. Like, I think it was a very genuine discussion. I think there's some things that raise serious questions that we need to address, but I appreciate the forward thinking way of this, and I think you're sincere again in your love of God and your desire to find a healthy, peaceful way forward. I think my concern is that, and again, I think we'll definitely need a part two, but that if the expansion goals, for example, cannot be achieved peacefully, my concern, based on the conversation we've had, is that, maybe you or people in authority are willing to go as far as necessary to achieve the expansion goals. And I think that's where we have fundamental moral differences, perhaps. And maybe they're religiously, theologically different. Like maybe you think it's okay to do what needs to be done to achieve those expansionist goals, and it's accepted within your theology. And for me, it's like, man, in my theology, expansion isn't worth the price. And there are some Muslims that may believe that expansion is worth whatever price, but that's not the kind of theology that I've taken.
When I say expansion, I don't mean unlimited expansion.
I know you've clarified that.
I mean what the Bible says is rightfully the land of the Jewish people.
But is that I mean, I guess from my perspective, is that...
And under that context, we're dealing, this is a real estate dispute.
I know, but is it a fair concern for me to have? And I'm just asking, because I'm trying to get to know you and sort of your and I look forward to many even online, offline discussions as we continue this. But I appreciate that you prefer to have a peaceful approach. But the real question, and again, this is probably what's going to need a part two, is that if for various reasons those goals, not unlimited expansion, but those, I guess you could say, limited expansions to the greater Israel that you believe is sort of promised from the Bible, if those cannot be achieved peacefully, my concern is that perhaps you are okay with whatever price to be paid to achieve it if it cannot be achieved peacefully. And I think that's where we may have some disagreement.
When the Jews originally came and fought the wars of the Canaanites, they weren't all done right away. We had the power to. They weren't from Moses, from Joshua, because Joshua led the nation into the land. The wars of the Canaanites ended with King David. That's like 400 years. And I want to explain something, why the Torah did that, why it teaches us that. This idea of any means necessary does not factor in patience. And I think that the Jewish people have a tremendous amount of national patience, collectively too. And this idea of our expansion and our rightful claim, we know we're never leaving the Middle East again. This return home is that we were redeemed. We were redeemed before the land was redeemed. The exile of the Jewish people is over, as told so by the prophets. And in that return of the Jews, we're not here saying, give us this, or we need this now.
You're
we're
saying
not
you're willing
saying
to wait so it doesn't have to come to that option. I think what you're saying.
we can allow for time.
But Mike, again,
to allow for, and this is where I really, really hope, and this is something that's even much more complex than just Israel and its Muslim neighbors. It's also Israel and its internal conflicts with American Jewry, because Israel has a vested interest in not having the American Jews come back to Israel, because the power structure changes tremendously in that situation. You get what I'm saying? American Jews were extremely smart. Some of us are insatiably wealthy. And we have this ability in Israel to change the entire landscape. And the existing power structure doesn't want those new channels of power to come. And that's why I think America taking Gaza could be a very good thing, because it can allow for American Jews to have all of our civil liberties from American Constitution kept and have the ability to influence Israel and return to Israel.
My concern with that is just one, the people that are there, and number two, America getting dragged into a whole separate thing. But I think taking it a step back.
And one thing I would just want to say, nobody wanted the Jews to return to the land, ever. There's no, you can lie to me and say that we welcome the Jews with open arms when that was not the case.
I mean, Muslims, look, Saladin.
Why is Kurdistan, I love the Kurdish people. Why are they not a nation? Because sovereignty requires the ability to take it if necessary.
Well, I think that's the point that we're getting to, which is, I think this idea of if God is with us and he promised us this land, then we will do whatever it takes, by any means necessary to get it back. And I think that can be a dangerous mindset. And I think it can come sometimes from a place of hubris. And then that begs the other question is, are you sure 100%? And I believe you believe you're sure that this is what is pleasing to God. Because again, at the end of the day, none of us answer to each other. At the end of the day, we all breathe our last. We answer to the divine. If we're right, we're right. But if we're wrong, then there's a price to be paid for that. And there may be a price to be paid right now by people, because I think what I'm understanding is by your beliefs, by your theology. If this land was promised to you and you're willing to be patient, you're willing to wait, but you will get it back by any means necessary. My concern is that if the people don't submit, there will be a terrible price to be paid, and therefore war becomes inevitable.
Your concern is very real. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is a reason why people need to stop making their entire nations about Palestine. That they should have their own accord with it. Syria should have its own accord with Israel, not dependent on the Palestinians. The Palestinians should not control the Syrian relationship with Israel, the Turkish relationship with Israel, the Egyptian, Egypt knows this well. Egypt doesn't allow the Palestinians to control their relationship. Saudi doesn't. Qatar doesn't anymore. I truly believe the Qataris sold out Hamas like nobody's business. And now they're moving forward with Israel. It's clear Ron Lauder met with the Emir of Qatar and Trump together. There's major geopolitical shifts happening between Israel and Qatar, which changes the entire relationship with Iran.
If Israel tries to expand any further, I don't know how that's going to keep things stable. But let's save it for another night, because it's almost
absolutely, without a doubt. I will just say this: the reason I'm so forthcoming with this information is because I don't want anybody to die. I don't want anybody to die, and I know that death is inevitable if they choose military as their means of dealing with Israel. So here's what I'd like to say, because we're approaching.
We're running on it. We're
at 2:47, which is where we're approaching the greatest podcasts with the most meat and potatoes go 3 hours. So I and I'm glad that we started with what unifies us and we ended with understanding each other's sovereignty. Because I cannot control Syria. I will never understand the Syrian.
Syria, we just want peace, bro. Our people, a million people been killed.
I'm only saying that because you're a Syrian. I will never be able to understand the Syrian struggle or the Syrian national ambition. God didn't create me as Syrian because it's for you to understand that. So moving forward, I do see you, that you're sincere in your faith in God, and hopefully you vocalize that you see it in the same with me. And I would hope that this conversation and future conversations that we can have can lead our people away from this conflagration, so that we could come to the solution that maybe we both don't even understand yet is the path forward, that involves no death and no war and prosperity. Because we learn, why was King Solomon the most wealthy man that ever existed for all of time? Because it says in the Torah that during his reign, no nation lifted up sword against any other nation. For all 40 years, there was global peace under King Solomon. And under peace is the biggest blessing of prosperity. Right. And the Middle East, as long as there's war in the Middle East, the nations of the West and the Far East can rule the earth. The Middle East is so central and so strategic and so rich in resource and power that if the Middle East were able to find its way forward together, the whole world, there would be no competition. This block of few countries would be the economic powerhouse greater than America, greater than China, greater than Russia, greater than any power combined, if we could put our war aside and our petty differences that largely focus on Israel-Palestine and start focusing on regional issues. Israel has immense technology for solar, hydro.
Is it just Israel and Palestine? If you're talking about an expansion in greater Israel, that's going to require usurpation of land from multiple other nations.
Instead of also understanding this idea of Israel expansion through land acquisition, take a step out of that and just focus on the Temple Mount. Because that, I can guarantee you, will always steer the Jewish heart just to be able to say, I love you to God on the Temple Mount. And as long as Jews are barred from that, there will be tension. There will be a need for expansion. So I feel like if like a first step that involves no land acquisitions, that involves no violence, no war, nothing, is like this acceptance of certain aspects of the Jewish national ambition, which is outlined in the Torah, such as just the service to God that we owe at that location. And if people can get to that level, we could avoid every conflict.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, to avoid every conflict would require everyone living, in that area to just have the same exact rights under the law.
And I also think it's important that in 1967, we took the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and I believe we rightfully should have kept it, but we didn't.
I appreciate your honesty on all this.
We didn't. We allowed it to exist as it is. We didn't change its status, and the nations around us gave us zero credit for that, and to this day give us zero credit, knowing we could take it like that. That if we wanted to, we could take it, and there's nothing anybody could do about it because there's no military strong enough.
Well, the truth of the matter is this.
And understanding that scenario begs us to say to our Syrian neighbors, Jordanian, Saudi neighbors, hey, we're not doing what you think the evil could allow us to do.
Yeah.
How about you just get over the fact that, allow us to pray there without an intifada.
Your concern is to pray there. My concern is for everyone living there, the Palestinians in Gaza, the Palestinians in the West Bank, and even the Palestinians living within Israel and with Israeli citizenship to have the same exact rights as Israelis as well. And I don't believe
because you don't want special treatment for Jews in the Jewish homeland.
That's a great way of twisting. That really is. That is a phenomenon, but it's true. No, I want equal rights for everyone.
And I want Jews to have equal rights in Syria as the Syrians.
I'm with you. I would fight for that.
Would you?
Right? Yeah, I would fight for that. Equal rights for Jews in Syria. Yeah, I have no problem.
And the return of Jews to Halab and Damascus and the Jewish community?
Bro, we were just meeting with Jewish leaders.
I'm very, very, very close with the Jewish diaspora community of Syria. In fact, one of the investors in my company is one of the foremost leading, he's not a rich man, he's a charitable man with his time, and he has been one of the leading voices in the preservation of Jewish antiquity in Syria. And I think there could be first of all, the Jewish Syrian community is immensely wealthy. And allowing Jews to return to Syria would only benefit their economy, would only benefit the Syrian people, and I would really hope it's biblical.
I have no objection to any Syrian coming back to Syria, regardless of their religion. It's been a good discussion, man. I appreciate it.
And for all of you at home, thank you for tuning in. Our thousands of viewers on the East Coast, everybody.
Wow, yeah, it's late on the East Coast, like 3 a.m., bro.
People are in it, dude. There's comments. I want to thank you.
Yeah, thank
we'll
you
do
for
it
having
again.
Me, man. I appreciate you welcoming me.
Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Great holidays for everyone celebrating the different.
Is there a Muslim holiday at this time?
We don't have one right now.
No, do you feel left out?
I feel left out, bro. I feel left out.
The Jews.
And you didn't even bring me any kosher food to celebrate.
I got you a menorah.
Oh, thank you.
Do you want to take it with you?
No, it's okay.
Are you sure? You can have it.
Thank you.
It's the menorah, guys. I didn't make him light.
The whole thing melted. Wow.
Yeah, they're melted candles.
We've been talking for a minute. All right.
Guys, peace out. God bless. We will solve the problems in the world. And you got to
getting started.
You got to stay tuned to the show, and you will see it happen here. Mashiach is coming. Mashiach is always here.
Yeah, but no, really,
here
thank you for welcoming me.
Absolutely, you'll come back again. You'll come back again. It means a lot. Big shout out to MTLE, More Talent, Less Ego, the art studio. God bless them. God bless all you. God bless Hassan Shibly and all the peaceful people of the world. God bless the peacemakers. Is there anybody you want to bless?
God bless all humanity to be driven by his love and his service always. Amen.
Amen. And God bless you, God. I love you. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.